Bandwidth for First Updates Now is supported by the Blue Alliance. Keep up to date on all live and archived First Robotics events and team stats at thebluealliance.com. First Updates Now is brought to you by Twitch. Fun is now a Twitch partner and offering some awesome subscriber-only benefits. Subscribe today or get a free subscription each month when you have Amazon Prime by linking your account and clicking subscribe.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first robotics competition, Ontario Ryerson University district event located in Toronto. I'm Justin Montoys, and co-hosting with me today is JT Novak. JT, we have an amazing afternoon of robotics competition up ahead. But for those who might not be familiar, what is the first robotics competition?
Well, Justin, the First Robotics Competition, or FRC, is a worldwide competition for students in grades 9 through 12 with over 3,000 teams worldwide. These teams play in a series of 3v3 matches through a couple days of competition. They were given a specific game challenge back in January and have 6 weeks to concept, design, and build a 120-pound robot within a certain set of guidelines. Teams then compete at district competitions and regional competitions with the hopes of qualifying for the World Championship in April. If they qualify at the district championship, they'll move on to the World Champion. They can move on to the World Championship, where they will face off against 400 other teams from 13 countries.
That's right. These teams have been competing like crazy over the last couple of days at this event. They compete in a series of qualification matches, which they're randomly paired up with other teams at the event. The top 8 teams after those matches get to draft 2 other robots to be part of their permanent alliance where they face off in the elimination tournament.
Before we get into breaking down these 8 great alliances, let's talk about the theme for this year's game. First, Steamworks. Every year, these teams are given a different challenge and required to build completely different robots. This year's challenge, First Steamworks, is a steampunk-themed game where alliances of 3 teams each play intense matches where they are required to score balls called fuel into goals called boilers and deliver gears to their airship. Each match is only 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. Let's take a look at how First Steamworks is played.
Welcome to the first robotics competition and the 2017 game, First Steamworks! 2 adventurer clubs, alliances of 3 teams each, prepare for a long-distance airship race by collecting fuel to build steam pressure, installing gears to engage rotors, and climbing aboard for liftoff. The airship best prepared for flight when the launch timer reaches 0 wins. Matches begin with robots touching their Alliance Station wall. Teams may preload up to 10 fuel elements and 1 gear on each robot. Fuel is available in hoppers placed around the perimeter of the field. Additional fuel and gears are available at the Alliance loading station. During the first 15 seconds of the match, the robots are autonomous. They work to reach their baseline, score fuel in the boiler, or deliver gears to the airship. During the following 2-minute and 15-second teleoperated period, human drivers remotely control their robots. They continue to gather fuel from the field and the hoppers to score in the boilers. They also collect and deliver more gears. Human players located behind the Alliance Station wall deliver gears and recycled fuel to robots through the loading stations. Steam pressure builds as fuel is added to the boilers. The high boiler produces more steam per unit of fuel than the low boiler. The more fuel scored in the boiler, the higher the steam pressure climbs. Alliances earn points for the amount of steam pressure built, and pressure over a certain level earns an additional bonus. Each airship has 4 rotors with some gears missing. Oh dear. Gears delivered to the airship lifts are retrieved by the airship pilots, who then place them in the gear train to engage and spin up the rotors. Each rotor requires an increasing number of gears to become engaged. Points are awarded for each airship rotor turning by the end of the match. Airships spinning all 4 rotors also earn an additional bonus. Towards the end of each match, pilots deploy ropes for their robots to climb aboard. Alliances earn points for each robot secured aboard the airship by the end of the match. Be prepared. It takes time for the boilers to process fuel for the airships. Fuel put in the boiler near the very end of the match may not get processed before the airship takes off. The alliance with the highest score at the end of the match earns the win. Ready your robot, fly your banner, and prepare to take flight with this year's first robotic competition, First Steamworks! Ha ha!
So don't worry if you didn't get all that. Stick around and watch a few matches. You'll pick up more of the game as we look at it. We'll also show the game animation a couple more times, and you can find it in our description. So as we mentioned, the top 8 teams have picked 2 other robots to form 3-team alliances. That means we're down from 39 teams to 24 teams at the event. These 8 alliances will face off in a bracket-style elimination tournament where the alliance who wins the best 2 out of 3 matches will advance to the subsequent rounds. JT, let's take a look at a few of these great alliances.
So first, we're going to start out with the favorites of this event, the number 1 alliance. Starting in the alliance is captain team number 610 from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. They're also known as Crescent Robotics. 610 is known for winning the World Championship back in 2013, and they're also known for having really good regional powerhouse robots year after year in the Ontario region. Next, they're joined by their first pick, 1114, Symbotics. Symbotics is known for winning the 2012 Chairman's Award and the 2008 World Championship. They're also joined by their second pick, Team 5596, who is the Wolverines, also from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And so be sure to see some high-powered scoring offense in all areas of gameplay by this alliance as we look to see them fight to get into the semifinals.
So I also want to mention the number 2 alliance because I think they're also pretty strong. They're led by 2609 Beaverworks. 2609 has the second highest fuel score at the event behind 1114. So I'm interested to see how that fuel score will help them during the elimination tournament. They're joined by 5024 Raider Robotics, a young team, but also up and coming in Canada. They were participating in the Archimedes division last year, so they got a little bit of experience at the World Championship level. And then lastly, 6052 Clark Road Trojans were also a very young team looking to gain some experience in the elimination rounds.
So I'm also looking forward to seeing Alliance number 3 compete. Alliance number 3 is comprised of Team 188 Blizzard, Team 1241 Theory 6, and Team 3560, the Ching Robotics. I'm really interested in seeing how they play. 188 and 1241 are consistent year after year with making good quality robots, especially 1241, also known for winning the 2013 championship with their friends from 610. So I'm really interested in seeing how the number 2 and 3 alliances will make their way to the semifinals. And if both do, I'm also really excited to see how high-powered that semifinal matches will be with those 2 alliances versus each other. So for now, while we wait for the elimination rounds to start, we can take a look at the Orlando Regional recap and see just how the Orlando Regional went in the last. Let's see, I guess that wrapped up yesterday, right? Right, Justin?
Yeah, sure did. And it was really interesting when I was looking at it. We talked about it on First Update Now recap this past Tuesday, where a lot of teams that were competing at the Orlando Regional were also had just competed at the South Florida Regional. So a lot of teams were competing kind of quickly back to back. 180 Spam, who ended up being the number 1 seed, was one of those teams that did not compete at South Florida, where a lot of other teams that they were competing against at Orlando did. So it was interesting to see a new team that actually didn't have the experience that many other teams at the event had, were able to seed number 1 and ultimately be very successful.
So something I'm really interested in with the Orlando Regional, I may be wrong, but I think that there are only 2 teams from outside of Florida at that regional. So if that's true, that's actually really impressive that Florida can manage to pack an event with all teams from Florida. So let's take a look at this video as it comes up and just see all happened yesterday.
love the idea that different branches of science are called fields of study. Most people think of science as a closed black box, and in fact, it is an open field, and we are all explorers. The people that made these discoveries just thought a little bit harder about what they were looking at, and they were a little bit more curious. And their curiosity changed the way people thought about the world, and thus it changed the world. They changed the world, and so can you.
Hi, my name is Stacy Jones. I'm the Regional Director for First LEGO League in South Florida. I've been involved with First since 1997, so 20 years. My husband came to me in 1997 and said he was going to start a team called FRC 180, and I kind of became involved, and now I'm doing just about everything in First.
Hello, my name is Leah Content. I'm actually a student on robotics, and I really enjoyed this experience. Give me a chance to learn plenty of other things that with software, there's no limits, and everything like great. And also gives me another opportunities to learn about different types of learning and the STEM program that other schools don't normally offer. And I'm really glad to be part of this experience.
I'm with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. We are an aerospace and aviation focused university up in Daytona Beach, Florida, and Prescott, Arizona. And it is a school where we do a lot with engineering and robotics. I went to my first competition and fell in love. I really like the robots, but I also like the social aspect and the gracious professionalism. So I really appreciate it. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Lately, I've been losing sleep.
This year we're doing great so far, and I'm glad to see the students come together and put their brains together to create a robot that's actually doing really well this year. We'll be counting stars.
So we do apologize. We actually had the video for the South Florida Regional queued. But anyway, congratulations to the winners of the Orlando Regional, Team 180 Spam, 4481 the Rembrandt out of the Netherlands, and 1744 the Robo Rays. Spam was really a lot of fun to play with in the past, and I look forward to seeing them at the World Championship again. So it looks like we've got some other videos that are queued up for the robots at this Ontario event. However, it looks as though the robots are on the field in Ontario and at Ryerson, And it looks as though the match is going to be starting fairly soon. So, Justin, what are you looking forward to in this match?
Well, it's always interesting for me to see the first time either alliance takes the field. What kind of chemistry do they have? How well do they actually play together? The scouting sheets, look good. Everything looks good. Your trade discussion went great. But when the robots get on the field, what's the chemistry going to be like, and how are they going to perform?
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how Team 1114 and 610 are going to work together. Team 1114 actually has an impressive amount of fuel scored during their qualification matches. Let's take a look. 339 kilopascals of fuel. That means that they put 339 balls in autonomous, or a combination of 1 ball per point and then 3 balls per point in teleop. We're going to go into the details of that scoring a little bit more later to remind all of our viewers. However, it looks as though the match is about to start, so let's go take a look in Ontario. My webcast is consistently 5 seconds behind. Sorry about that.
They're going to try and grab some more fuel cells so they can do some shooting. Both alliances have a rotor spinning. There's 610 racing back to gather another gear for 42.52.
I love the fuel game getting played right now.
So that 11.14 can't be gobbling them up anymore. There's 55.96 over at the neutral zone, giving the Blue Alliance a bit of a hard time, and 854 is trying to get a gear onto the lift. There's a pushing match going on between 55.96 and 27.06. Here comes 610, gets a little shove, but they go right through that block. 11.14 and 42.52 meet in the neutral zone, and they squish a fuel cell.
You want to look at that between matches?
Now we've got the Red Alliance 124, the Blue Alliance 97. The referee is talking to one of the robots about.
So did Red score any on autonomous? I had to.
Stuck at the base of the Blue Alliance.
Okay, so
27.
We've got over a minute left.
No, it might have been 29. You're right.
So 11.14.
11.14
went with a tall robot. That's funny. I haven't seen the robot. I haven't seen any of these robots yet. That's weird. That's weird.
So do we pause until the score comes up?
All right, Red Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Blue Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Red Alliance is ahead right now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Why did the 1114 not have a pickup mechanism?
I don't know. I couldn't believe it myself.
Like,
I saw it.
If I'm playing against them, I just dump all the fuel on the ground and they're done with that, so.
Correct.
There's 11.14. They're up. Touchpad is red. 27.06. They're on their way up. 42.52 as well.
I guess that's quick about it, because it's tall.
We've got 7 seconds left. Can they make it over to the Blue Lines? One more. And it's blue, and there's 1 second.
No, it's not.
Whoa. There's fuel cell carnage all over the field, and we're going to have an official score for you in just a moment.
First robotics. First robotics.
Correct.
So we shouldn't play it in between these 2 matches then, because 188 is going to be in the third match, right? Yeah, so let's wait until after the next match to play that.
First robotics.
All right, let's have a look. It is the Red Alliance with the first best out of 3, 289 to 197. Remember, that's not it yet because it's.
All right, Justin, you going first?
We're coming up with quarterfinal number 2 as soon as we get the field cleared.
Come on. Now, let me see.
All right, we're back in the fun studio. We just saw the number 1 Alliance defeat the number 8 Alliance with a score of 289 to 197. So, JT, what do you think were the keys? What were the keys for the number 1 Alliance in that match?
So the number 1 Alliance seemed to take over the scoring on all fronts, except for climbing. They in autonomous, they came out strong with 27 kilopascals of pressure in the boiler, which means that 1114 shot 27 balls into the top boiler in autonomous mode. And so that gave them a decent edge at the beginning of autonomous. And throughout the game, they had the Blue Alliance beat in the rotor game. They had more gears put onto the rotors in the middle. And also in the end, they tied it with the Blue Alliance. Unfortunately, both alliances missed out on one robot climbing. We'll see how that progresses as the day goes on. But it looks like at most other events, it seems as though the winning alliance will have all 3 robots climbing almost every single match. So I'm interested in seeing how that'll play out in the future, seeing if the Red Alliance or the Blue Alliance are going to be able to put up all 3 robots in the next match. So, Justin, do you think the Blue Alliance could have done anything different?
I think that getting the 3rd robot climbing, especially after you noticed in the first match, like you had mentioned, the number 1 Alliance did not get all 3 robots up. So that's potentially a 50-point advantage for Blue if they can figure that out. But we also didn't see kind of that, and maybe they just didn't attempt it. We didn't see that cutthroat, really intense defense that you might expect to see with arguably outgunned number 8 Alliance going against number 1. I know the number 1 Alliance really did a good job. Symbiotics scoring in autonomous, there's not much you can do to defend against that. But during the match, maybe increase the defense a little bit, slow down their gear runs, and then hope to outclimb them in the end.
So remember, this is a best 2 out of 3, so the Blue Alliance isn't done yet. There's still another match at least to continue and see if the Blue Alliance could resurrect themselves. It looks like they're setting up the field for our next match, which would be Alliances 4 versus 5. And so let's take a look at these alliances. On the 4th alliance, we have team 5036, 1325, and 5719. I believe all 3 of those are out of Ontario, Canada. And then number 5 alliance, team 1547, 4001, and 907. 1325 and 4001 are relatively well known in Canada. And also 1325 is pretty well known in the northern United States as well for their relatively high-powered regional robots. So I'm excited to see how these 2 relatively evenly matched alliances will play against each other. Maybe we'll see all 3 robots pulling offense on one alliance because of the fact that they're so close together. But maybe we'll see some defensive strategies as well. Justin, do you have anything you're looking forward to in this match?
I'm excited to watch Where's Waldo play in this next match. They had a rough season last year. They didn't get picked for the eliminations at either one of the events that they went to. But the year before that, 2015, they won the Greater Toronto Regional. So, we know they have the ability to be successful. I had a bit of an off year last year, but I'm excited to see them in the top 5 or in the top 8, captain their own alliance of the number 5 seed. So I'm really excited and interested to see how or what success they can find in this elimination tournament.
I'm pretty curious to see what 1325 came up with this year. They usually come up with pretty interesting, simplistic designs. 2013 is one that comes to mind. Actually, a lot of the Canadian teams were power players in 2013. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so as we go into this match, the field reset crew are doing a good job resetting the field, and the robots are all on. And so we're waiting for the teams to be announced on the field, and then we'll switch it back over to Canada.
It's interesting to notice that I always see these like weird nuances, especially at Canadian events. They have the nice little, looks like the fuel counter totes to assist with field reset, both in getting the balls collected quickly and also ensuring that each hopper has 50 balls in it. So it's interesting that sometimes these events kind of take it upon themselves to make the lives of their volunteers easier. It'd be interesting to see if other events adopt that going forward.
Yeah, I think last week in Arkansas we saw they had cardboard boxes laid out with sections in it to hold certain numbers of balls. So it seemed like they had a similar thing. However, the ones here look a lot nicer. A lot better than cardboard boxes with inserts inside them.
Right.
I guess I'm from Arkansas, so I can say this. It's just our type of engineering.
That's right. But I always appreciate when teams kind of go above and beyond. We know that volunteers are often overworked at first events, and we expect a lot out of them. We're exhausted when we're part of a team, but we get a little of a break. We can go sit down every now and then. Oftentimes, these volunteers are just going and going and going. So, if you've if you're competing in the future, you have a chance to thank a volunteer. Make sure you do that, because none of this would be possible without the effort that they put in each weekend for us.
So it looks like this match could start any second now. The referees are still looking down and looking at things. No thumbs up yet. But anyway, to all of our viewers watching, make sure you stay tuned, because after this match, we'll be showing a reveal video for Team 188, who will be in the next match. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll be showing entertainment between matches periodically. We've also got some other exciting videos lined up, like people asking questions from the kids in first who are actually on the field right now, and also from different events. And we also have some other things like polls and other activities. And also feel free to give your opinions on the Twitch chat if you have anything that you'd like us to talk about.
Looks like we're just about to get started with the team introductions, maybe. I see Karthik. They did start them? Gotcha.
So it seems like I'm really looking forward to how this blue and red alliance, how the dynamics are going to work, how they're going to keep the field from being clogged up, what they're going to do with their third robots. And I'm wondering if the blue alliance might take a more offensive role than most blue alliances in the quarterfinals will. To those who are new at watching or aren't familiar with first, usually in the quarterfinals, the blue alliance is the underdog. They're the ones that are the lower seeds. They're usually the more defensive ones. However, 4 versus 5 brings upon an interesting dynamic in that the alliances are just one spot away from each other. So the number 5 alliance could very well be more offensively capable than the number 4 alliance, especially given the fact that they get a preference on the third robot choice. As we know in first, the alliance selection is sort of a serpentine. For the first robot, it's the captains. And whenever they pick their first robot, they go from 1 to 8. So number 1 gets to pick, 2 gets to pick, and so on. However, with the third robot, the last robot that we see, the weakest one in the alliance, it's actually picked starting from the 8th alliance, and it goes all the way back to number 1. So the number 8 seed actually has a really well-rounded alliance typically when compared to the number 1 seed, which would have a very strong first 2 robots and perhaps a slightly weaker or more defensive third robot. But the number 4 and 5 alliances are so close together that overlap could be a little bit ambiguous. And so I'm interested in seeing how the blue alliance and red alliance, how the dynamics are going to be, because it's always a toss-up when you're looking at these two together.
It'd also be interesting to see how I still think in these early matches, especially where fuel doesn't seem to be playing a huge role in this game quite yet, the 50-point swing of one robot climbing on one alliance versus not getting a robot climbing in the other alliance is going to be very difficult for a lot of teams to overcome. In the first match we saw, both alliances only got 2 robots up. So in these subsequent matches and these new alliances that we're seeing for the first time, once we identify an alliance that really looks like they can get 3 robots up each and every time, tracking their progress through the elimination tournament will be interesting to see how far just that trait alone for an alliance can carry a team.
So something that we just got out of the Twitch chat, someone wants to know what our thoughts are on Karthik's dance move. So Justin, let's take a look, and whenever while the teams are being announced, we should take a look and see what Karthik does on the field. He sometimes has some pretty interesting things that he does during the alliance introductions before the match. So hey Justin, have you noticed whether they've already introduced the teams this match?
They have not. Yeah, I'm not. It looks like there's a lot of debate at the referee station, so I'm not quite sure what they're discussing.
So sometimes a robot could be disconnected. Sometimes there might be legality issues potentially. A lot of times in eliminations, the third robot will get modified quite a bit, and so maybe there's an issue with that happening somewhere. Someone modified a third robot, and there's something that might be illegal about it that the refs are talking about. It also might just be a matter of field faults or field issues that they're getting worked out. So sorry for the delay. We're going to try to see what happens everything. While we're waiting, we do have some videos lined up. And so we could take a look at the Central Valley Regional if our viewers would be interested and just see how things are going over there. Justin, does that sound like a good idea to you?
Yeah, CVR's got a lot of good teams that are taking the robots to the field for the first time. So we should definitely take a peek in and see what's going on. All right, it looks like they're starting introductions at Ryerson, so let's check back in and follow this next quarterfinal match.
Lost in the semifinals. Number one seed for a lot of this regional, hoping to make it to the finals and even be the winner. 50-36.
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, check.
From Scarborough, Ontario.
And speaking of 2015, made it all the way to Heinz. Division winners, 13-25.
Inverse Paradox from Mississauga, Ontario.
And a little history in this building. Last year, 4001, they came here, they won this event. This is 4001.
Rams Robotics from Thornhill, Ontario.
And in 2015, do you know who came to this event? These teams right here, 5047.
Where's Waldo from Whitby, Ontario?
They took home the gold 2 years in a row. Let's see if they can do it a third year in a row with Team 907.
The Cybernauts from East York, Ontario.
Match ready to get underway. Drivers behind the line. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Mike wants to wants us to put him in the Skype chat so he can give us info.
Or defense. Now the drivers take control of their robots. 4001 goes over to their loading station, trying to get another gear. 907 dropped their gear, so it looks like they're going to come back and get another one. Here's 4001, a little bit of a pushing and shoving by 1325. 1325 has their gear in place. They've got it on the
Check.
and the pilot pulls it into the airship. Both airships, one rotor turning. We've got a dump of fuel over on the table side of the field. Here goes 5036 racing across. Looks like they've got a gear in place. In hand, actually, and here it goes. They've got it in place, and pilots take it up. 1325. Also with one. Red Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Blue Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Red Alliance, there's the pink machine over there. 1325 going around the back. Here's 4001 trying to get a rotor onto the lift. 907 has done that. Blue Alliance pilots take another rotor onto the deck. Time is running out. 20-point difference between first top score. 1325 is trying to, there we go, we've got fuel cells all over. They're trying to gobble up some of those. 407. They've got a gear in place and they're dropping one on the field and they're pushing it over in front. There goes the whistle, which means there's 30 seconds left. Who's gonna get a climb? Red Alliance are already up with one. Light is not on yet. 57-19. They're up. 907 going up. 4001. They're up. Red Alliance. 1, 2, possibly 3. 4001. They're up. They're good. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be close. And we'll see if there were any penalties there that might change this. And we've got the Red Alliance robot. And they're not sure if they're high enough, but the referees will make that decision. We'll have a final score, official score in just a couple of seconds for you. 45. That was a close match. However, Blue Alliance isn't out of it yet. Remember, this is best out of 3. We've got quarterfinal number 3 coming up as soon as we get the field cleared. Don't go away.
All right, we're back after that exciting quarterfinal 2 match where we saw the number 4 Alliance defeat the number 5 Alliance, 257 to 245. And JTN, just like you had mentioned, the 4 versus 5 matches are often very close. The alliances are fairly well balanced, and I think the score here indicates that pretty well.
Yeah, so the main difference in score here turned out to be the rotors. If you looked at the Red Alliance, they got 140 points for the rotors, and the Blue only got 80 points. That's probably because the Red Alliance had three out of the 4 rotors turning by the end of the match, whereas the Blue Alliance only had 2 of them turning. And that really makes a big difference. You have to get those extra gears out because each of those rotors gives you 40 points. And if you do it on autonomous, I believe it gives you 60 points. And
Yeah.
whenever an alliance misses out on one of those rotors, that's a big chunk of 40 points. And so as we're looking into the replay right here, we notice the Red Alliance already has a big jump in the lead at the beginning of the match because they got 1 rotor up in autonomous. And that also means that they've already got their first gear up. So if you all look at the game rules, you'll notice that every single additional rotor takes more gears than the previous one. And so every single one gets harder and harder and harder. So the first one is easy. That one gear goes up. The next one's a little bit harder, and the next one's a little bit harder. And the last one is so difficult that we've seen very few alliances actually manage to get it. But the few that do are the ones that break the world high scores. So I think we saw a really interesting and close match in Alliance 4 versus 5. And I'm kind of excited to see how the next match will play out, how to see how the Blue Alliance will try to adjust and change their strategy to try to compensate for it.
Yeah, I think one thing they can focus on for the number 5 Alliance for coming back in this next match is just making sure that they get the rotor and autonomous. It's an advantage that the Red Alliance had early on, and it's something that they carried with them throughout the rest of the match. And with the score so close, any little adjustment by either alliance can really swing the match quite heavily in their favor. So 4 versus 5, we're going to check in with them in a little bit, coming up soon when they played their best the second match in the 2 out of 3. But for now, we're going to focus our attention on this next match.
So here we're looking at number 3, Alliance 3 versus 6. Alliance 3 comprised of Team 188, 1241, and 3560, and Alliance 6 teams 6009, 1310, and 5076. 188, 1241 on the Red Alliance and 1310 on the Blue Alliance are relatively well-known teams around the first community. 1241 especially because of their World Championship win in 2013. However, we have one of the reveal videos queued up, and we're looking at Team 188, and we actually were sent the reveal video, and so we'd like to show you all. 188 is a very consistent player year after year. They've been a team for a long time, and so as we keep going through all the years of Canadian events, we see 188 playing with and against 1114. It actually seems like the match is going to be underway pretty soon. So we'll have to hold off that 188 reveal video until a little bit later. They're already announcing the teams on the field. And so, Justin, if you've got any last opinions before the match starts.
No, I'm just really excited to see the 188 24 or 36 Alliance. I think they're an alliance that really could go far in this tournament, and I'm excited to see how this match goes.
Yeah, I think the semifinals that result from this match and the next quarterfinal match are going to be probably the more exciting of the 2 semifinals because of all the alliances that are in play on this side of the bracket. So it looks like they're already announcing the Blue Alliance teams. Unless there's anything else more to talk about, I say we go ahead and switch it over to Canada and see what's going on over there and get a little scope and look at the autonomous and the teleoperated periods.
Sounds good.
So they're hoping to combine together and take this event. It's 45-19.
Kings McCavaliers from Oakville, Ontario.
We are.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Thumbs kind of up
Do you think our mechs are still hot?
drivers behind the line. This match is starting in 3, 2, 1, go!
On the lift. Pilots take it in, and they put it right in, and the Blue Alliance has a rotor spinning in autonomous. They might get a second one. 1 second. Oh, the Red Alliance didn't quite get it there in time, but that's okay. They still get points in tele-op. All right, the pilots are working together to get those gears in place. The robots now are doing a little bit of battling behind the red airship. 2609 makes the delivery. 6378 spills the fuel into the neutral Zion. 5024 smashes into the back wall and then gives 2935 a hard time. 2706 has got a gear in play. 6378 tries to give them a hard time, making it difficult for them to put it onto the lift. That was successful because the gear is now on the floor. We've got fuel everywhere. 4519 is taking up a defensive stance to protect their players. 6378 playing some really tough offense against 2935, making it real hard for them to get a gear in place. Lots of pushing and shoving. 2706 is being herded into the corner in their own zone on their own launch pad. 2935 able to pick up the gear, and now they're moving towards the lift and trying to get it there. The red airship, 3 rotors turning. Blue airship, 2 rotors turning. Right now, Red Alliance is ahead, 165 to 115. Red Alliance taking a stance there. 2609 has got a whole lot of fuel that they're dumping into the low boiler to put their points up. Blue Alliance is coming close. We've got 30 seconds left, and there's only 13 points separating these 2 alliances. All 3 robots, all 6 robots are heading towards the ropes because they've been deployed. There we go. 1, 2, up. It's going to be close. We have 12 seconds. Blue Alliance, they've got 1. Touchpad gone. 2935. Touchpad is up. Red Alliance. 1, 2, 3. Blue Alliance. 1 second. There we go. 1. Wow. Now, there might be a penalty on that play, so it's coming down to the official score. We'll give the referees a chance to speak, and we'll have it for you in just a moment. All right, folks, here it comes. Who's it going to be? It is the Red Alliance making it across 318 to 255. There was a Blue Alliance penalty. All right, so quarterfinal number 4 on its way. Stay tuned for more excitement.
All right, we're back after another exciting quarterfinal match where we saw the number 2 Alliance defeat the number 7 Alliance with a score of 318 to 255. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite parts about watching that match was Beaverworks 2609 putting fuel into the low goal. I know a lot of people keep thinking fuel doesn't matter, fuel doesn't matter, fuel doesn't matter. But so far, the matches that we've seen scores really kind of start to get out ahead is the Symbiotics Alliance scoring fuel and the Beaverworks Alliance scoring fuel. It's really interesting to see how that plays out as we go forward. JT, what'd you see in that match?
So I do apologize. I announced for the wrong match, but teams Alliance versus 2 versus 7 had a good showing on the field. The Blue Alliance actually came in the lead during Autonomous. That's something that we don't usually see. If you look on the replay right now, it says 75 to 57 after the Autonomous period's over. But what really happened is they got all the rotors up, so they were only 20 rotor points down because the Blue Alliance got their first up in Autonomous. But they made up for it by having all 3 robots climb, as opposed to the Blue Alliance with only 2 robots climbing. And I'm kind of interested in seeing what that review was about, but apparently it didn't amount to much. And it was exciting to see the Red Alliance come back from behind and take the lead away. And so as we go into this next match, where we'll now be seeing Team 188, 1241 versus 1310 and 6009. I'm kind of interested in seeing how these 2 alliances are going to compete against each other. They all know each other really well. They're from the same region. They competed against each other a lot of times. Justin, do you have any thoughts about going into this next match?
Well, I'm really excited to see, like we had talked about in air before that last match, but the 188-1241 Alliance, they're on the same side of the bracket as the Alliance number 2 that we just watched, 2609 and company. So I'm really excited to see 188-1241 and 3560 take the field for the first time. And hopefully it will set up a really exciting, or potentially set up a really exciting semifinal match where we see 2 taking on 3. I'm really excited to see how that might play out and how these alliances, start to figure out how to play together in these elimination rounds.
So if we look in the Twitch chat, someone asked if they had to call in a sub, and yes, it looks like the Red Alliance had to substitute out their 3rd robot, 6052, with a different robot. We're not exactly sure why. However, we'll look into it and see what we can figure out. In the meantime, Team 188, who will be playing in our next match, we have a reveal video for them queued up. So let's go ahead and take a look after this replay finishes, and then we can look at Team 188 and see what the robot's about and see just how well designed and engineered and well thought out it is. Also, we had another question. We had some more questions in the comments that we'll be addressing later. And feel free to ask more questions and suggestions for discussion topics. Justin and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have about the cast. So let's go ahead and take a look at Team 188's reveal video.
We, the North. In many ways, we're in a league of our own. One step removed, just beyond the boundaries. Some would say we're on the outside looking in. But from our perspective, we're on the outside looking within. We're far from the east side, miles from the west side, nowhere near the south side. We are the north side, a territory all our own. And if that makes us outsiders, we're in.
So that was a really, really well done reveal video. And if you missed our premiere night, which is an event that we host where robotics teams from all over first submit us their robot release videos, and we kind of make a big show out of it and show 60 or more robot release videos. That is the quality we're looking for. That was really, really well done and looks like professionally done. And just watching it got me excited to see the robot on the field, which we'll have a chance to see here as this timeout progresses.
So it looks like we're waiting for a timeout to continue on the field. And so while we're waiting, we can answer some more questions from the Twitch chat. We have one user who asked, when do we think that fuel will start to be a determining factor for winning matches, whether we think it'll be next week or week after? I actually think that in the finals matches here, the semifinals matches here, as 11-14 scores a lot of fuel, we might see that become a playing factor here. I know yesterday at St. Louis, the Fuel Scoring Alliance actually managed to win quite a few matches and also overcome other methods of point scoring just by scoring so many kilopascals of fuel into the boiler. And to our viewers who are new to First, what we mean by fuel and boiler and everything, we're talking about the yellow balls that are scored into the circular goals in the bottom corners of the field. So Justin, do you have any thoughts on whether we should see any fuel scoring take an impact in gameplay this week or in the coming weeks?
I think it's just going to get more and more prevalent as the season progresses. You know, I've read on Chief Delphi, which is the message board that a lot of First Robotics teams like to talk and discuss on, that this is one of the hardest games that have ever been asked of teams to build robots for. You know, the gears are kind of a tricky element to pick up off the ground and orient on the scoring on the scoring peg. The fuel is a difficult and kind of non-uniform shape to shoot consistently. So teams that have elected to try to shoot fuel and climb and do gears really well, you know, teams were stretched quite a bit this year. So I'm not surprised that the fuel aspect of the game is still coming along. Teams are still trying to make improvements to their shooting mechanism. As the season progresses and as more and more teams figure that out, it's going to play more of a role. And like we've already seen at this event, some utilizing fuel as well. So I think it's not a stretch that fuel may very well make the difference in this event, and I think it's only going to get more prevalent as we go forward.
It really is too bad that fuel scoring isn't more meaningful now than it is, because I really like to see I love to see both alliances have balls shooting into the boilers. It makes the matches look a little more exciting, in my opinion.
Definitely. All right, so they're starting team introductions down in the field. It's the first time we've seen these alliances, so let's listen in.
They made it to Einstein last year out of that Newton Division, Team 188.
Blizzard from Toronto, Ontario.
And another one of that Waterloo winning regional last year is Team 1241.
Series 6 from Mississauga, Ontario.
Over here we have on our Blue Alliance, North Bay champs 2 years in a row, Team 1310.
Runnymede Robotics from Toronto, Ontario.
We have the Alliance captain, 6009.
Cyberheart from Toronto, Ontario.
And while they were rookies, Greater Toronto West 2014 winners, 5076.
Stormbots from Ajax, Ontario.
Thumbs up all around, drivers behind the line in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, there's 188 taking some pot shots at the high boiler. Most of them are going in, and you can see them racking up some points. Meanwhile, we've got some gears being delivered. Will they be able to do it in 2 seconds to get it in place? No, not quite. But the Blue Alliance did, which gives them a little bit of a lead. We'll see if that gap closes really fast. There's 1241 with a gear on, almost on. They're getting a note from the pilot with a thumbs down. It's not quite where it needs to be. Blue Alliance 1310, shaking up that gear, trying to get it right on that lift. It's there, and it up, 1241, sneaks around the back, and over into the loading zone. It's a race back and forth to get those gears in place, to get those rotors turning before the final countdown for liftoff. There's 188, sneaking around the back, doing the same thing. Getting a rotor, going out for delivery. 1310, having a little bit of a face-off with 3560. 3560 doing its best to keep the Blue Alliance slowed down. 1310, nothing slowing them down. There's a pick set up for 5076 by 5076. And here's 188, being blocked, trying again, 5076 doing a good job. They've got 2 gears in place. We've got Blue Alliance, 2 rotors turning, Red Alliance, 2 rotors turning. Blue Alliance 158, Red Alliance 110. We might have a little bit of an upset here unless something happens in the next few seconds. 1310, Blue Alliance. Another rotor being brought up. Will they be able to get it into the airship without dropping it? It's going to be close. 30 seconds left. Now it's time for the big climb. Pilots deploy the ropes. And here we go, 5076 on its way up. 6009 on its way up. 1310, not quite there yet. There's 188, we are good, touchpad done. 3580, touchpad done. Red Alliance, 1241 in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Whoa! Okay. Looking at the thumbs, there's a thumb down from a referee, so we'll have to get a final score with the official match. But that was a close one, and that was exciting. We'll be back in a moment. Here it comes, folks. Guys on the screen, it's going to be the Red Alliance. 305 to 258. Great final score. Okay, Blue Alliance isn't out of it yet, though. Coming up, quarterfinal match number 5. Stay tuned.
All right, another really close match, very exciting match. With the number 3 Alliance, was able to take the win 305 to 258 over the number 6 Alliance. So we saw a decent amount of fuel actually being scored in that match. It was very close. The final score was almost a 3-point difference until it looked like the Blue Alliance lost their climb right at the very end. But another exciting match. JT, what did you see?
Yeah, so I saw the Red Alliance seemed to be kind of choked up on themselves a little bit that match. They 188 looks like, as we can see in the replay right there, it looks like they had a gear stuck somehow in their robot. They couldn't score a gear. But instead of trying to either get around that problem or continue playing defense, they just sort of spent the rest of the match trying to get the gear out. So I think that's why we saw why the score was so close. Unfortunately for the Blue Alliance, they had all 3 of their robots up, but one of them fell back down. And for those viewers who are not familiar, you've got to have the robot up for 1 second at the end of the match in order for it to count. And the robot fell back down. So it's a little bit disappointing to see that. And I'm sure the Blue Alliance will have to try to work harder next time to try to get all 3 robots up, because every single robot climbed at the end of the match is 50 points, 50 additional points. That's a big point score, because an entire alliance, if they can get themselves climbed, is 150 points that is given to the end of the match. It's so important that some teams actually make additional climbers to put on their alliance partners if they don't already have one, just so they can get that 50 points extra per match. So Justin, do you think that you saw anything interesting happen in that match that could have swayed it either way?
Well, I think we saw, again, a little bit of fuel being scored, which I'm still very interested to see how that plays out. But also the climbing was good up until the last second for both alliances. So when we saw the match coming up here, the 1 versus 8, both alliances were only able to get 2 robots up. So whichever one of these alliances progresses from this first quarterfinal match, it'll be interesting to see, and hopefully we might find out in this next match. It'll be interesting to see if that ends up hurting them if both alliances only have the ability to get 2 robots up. So that'll be interesting to watch. So as the 1 versus 8 gets set up on the field, JT, both you and I have been a part of drive teams in the past, and you mentioned 188 kind of, I don't want to say, not dealing with adversity well, but they kind of got the gear caught in the robot and something they weren't expecting. Can you talk a little bit about how you would like to see, drive teams and maybe alliance-wide typically deal with situations like that, and just how important it is to be able to adapt on the fly to those weird things that happen in a match where you might not have ever seen that during any of your practice or elimination rounds?
Yeah, so a lot of times in the elimination rounds, alliances will come up with a really precise strategy and they'll do whatever they can to follow it. However, in that match, we saw 188 had the gear stuck in the robot, and they still followed through with their strategy, which in some cases is good, but in that case, it really hurt them. The ability to not switch over on the fly seems like it really brought them down that match. So if 188 behind the glass could think, maybe it's better if we do defense. Maybe it's better if we stop trying to get this gear out and just try to slow the other alliance down. I'm not really sure. We might not see this problem again. However, if it does come up, I'd like to see 188 try to adjust to the situation a little bit better. Now, it looks like we're going into our second match of the first quarterfinal with an Alliances 1 versus Alliance 8. Justin, do you have anything that you're looking forward to in this match?
I'm just looking forward to seeing, again, both alliances taking the field again, looking for any adjustments either alliance may have made to gain an edge, and we'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah, so let's take it back to Canada, where it looks like they're about to start quarterfinal 1, match 2.
Robotics. And rounding out this alliance, we have
Check.
4252.
Cardinal Robotics.
Drivers behind the line. This match starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, motors are running. Here's 610 delivers the gear. 1114 spewing out. Lots and lots. 610 adding to the high boiler. Look at those points rack up as they're trying to get the kilopascals up in the air. Okay, now it's time for delivery. 1114 goes straight to the hopper to try and get some more. Gobbling and gobbling and gobbling, trying to get as much as they can. 5596 and 4254, a little bit of a face-off at the base of the blue airship. Blue Alliance, 1 rotor turning. Red Alliance, 2 rotors turning. Blue Alliance trying their best to catch up, because for them it's do or die. There's 2708 being blocked by 5596. They get in place, and it looks like they're going to get that gear on, but 5596 is going to do their best to slow them down. 610 does a race along the side, 4252 blocks them, so 610 goes backwards. There's 1114 gear in hand. Right over, there seems to be some fuel cells blocking their way. No, they can push that forward, but the gear does not stay on. Right now, commanding lead for the Red Alliance, which could change at any moment's notice. So, Blue Alliance is not giving up, and they are not done yet. 1 minute left on the clock. 1114 gets blocked by 4252. They do an end run around them, but they run into 2708. Here's 610 scurrying along the side. They push a gear out of the way. Red Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Blue Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Red Alliance takes another gear in the airship. It looks like they're turning the crank. 1, 2, 3, and third rotor is now spinning. 30 seconds left on the clock. This is going to be it, folks. This is going to decide it all. Here we go. Red Alliance going for those ropes. Blue Alliance doing the same. 1114 is up. Touchpad is lit. Here goes 610. Up in the air, up and away. Touchpad is lit. Blue Alliance can't seem to get onto that rope fast enough. And we're running out of time. Both robots are up. Oh, they both lit right at the last second. Whoa, and I've got a thumbs down over here. We'll find out from the referees in a moment about that final score and the results of that match. think we know it is the Red Alliance. Final score, 316 to 195. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to give a big round of applause to our Blue Alliance, the Iron Bears, Lake Effect Robotics, and Cardinal Robotics for making a great show. Congratulations.
Wow, really exciting match. We saw the number 1 Alliance defeat the number 8 Alliance and move on to the semifinals with a score of 316 to 195. JT, we saw 11-14 in that match just dominate the boiler, scoring some fuel. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, they went over 40 kilopascals, which means they got the 20-point bonus. So a little bit about point values for boilers for those that are watching. In autonomous mode, 1 ball in the top is equal to 1 kilopascal, and then 3 balls into the bottom is equal to 1 kilopascal. However, in the teleoperated period, which is when the humans are driving the robots, it takes 3 balls in the top to equal 1 kilopascal and 9 balls in the bottom to equal 1 kilopascal. So the difference there is kind of interesting. But in what we saw in that match was the Symbotics, they had 33 kilopascals done by the time autonomous was over, as we can see in the replay right here. They already had 33 out of 40 done, which means that at the very beginning of the match, they could sit there, as you see in the replay right now, and finish off the rest of the kilopascals to get above 40 and get that 20-point bonus. Unfortunately, we didn't see the third robot on the Red Alliance climb because it looked like they had died part of the way through the match. I'm kind of interested in seeing what happened there, or if they're planning on fixing that in the future. But I really think what we saw in this match was just a complete dominance by the Red Alliance. I almost think that the Blue Alliance wasn't able to control them with defense, and it also wasn't able to score as fast as them. But congratulations anyway to the Blue Alliance who just went out, and also congrats to the Red Alliance who are now going to be going on to the semifinals. And so in this next match, we're going to see who they're going to be playing against potentially. If the Red Alliance wins, then we'll watch them play against the Symbotics, and if Blue Alliance wins, we'll have to go to a tiebreaker.
So just a logistical thing. The way the tournament is set up, the highest seed in each match is the Red Alliance. So far in our elimination tournament, we haven't seen an underseeded team upset the higher seed. The Red Alliance has won in all of the matches we've seen so far. The good news is if you're a fan and watching of one of the Blue Alliance teams, there hasn't really been a true blowout until that last match. The matches have been very close. And also, if you're looking at an opportunity to knock off perhaps that number 1 seed, they still have yet to get all 3 robots climbing. So teams are still in this tournament trying to figure stuff out, trying to see who plays best with who and what alliance strategies are working the best. So they've been great matches so far. Really love to see the 11-14 Alliance put up that 40 kPa for fuel. It's just fun to watch. It's a real crowd pleaser. So go ahead. Yep.
As we go into this next match, we have Team 5719, 5036, and 1325 versus teams 4001, 1547, Wobot, and 907. In this last match, in this quarterfinal 2, match 1, we saw a really close score, 257 to 245. So I'm interested in seeing how the Blue Alliance is going to change their strategy to try to even up those scores a little more. Maybe they'll up the defense, maybe they'll up the offense. I personally think that they should try to up the offense. If they go with 3 offensive robots, they might be able to come on top. So it looks like they're done announcing the teams on the field. So let's take it back to Canada as the match begins.
Drivers behind the line, we're ready to start in 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, all of the robots advance to the baseline. 15 points each. Red Alliance is trying to get that gear in place with 6 seconds left. They go around, and it is good for 60 points. All right, there's the bell. Blue Alliance also gets a gear in place. Each airship has 1 rotor turning. Blue Alliance 4001 had a rotor on the lift, but it fell off the end. Pink Titans playing a little bit of defense, keeping the Blue Alliance away from their loading station, but Blue is stronger than that. Here's 907 setting up himself in position to stand guard underneath their launch pad. There's 4001 of the Blue Alliance taking a rotor, taking a gear and putting it on the lift. Here's 1325, Red Alliance, quick spin, hands, getting the thumbs down from the pilots, trying to give them the proper direction. Right now, 115 to 55 for the Red Alliance. We've got offense and we've got defense. 57-19 of the Red Alliance doesn't want to let anybody by. Going around the backside. Red Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Now they have 3. We've got a spill of fuel on the field. 50-36. Watching out for 4001. Oh, we've got a little bit of a friendly collision between 1325 and 50-36. Now, more fuel on the field. Not sure what we're doing with that, gobbling up some of it. 907 standing guard at the base of their airship. 1325, they've got a mouthful of fuel. Here they go to the base of their boiler, and now they're going to just throw it in by the fours. And 30 seconds left on the clock, and they're pushing the points up. Blue Alliance has to do some climbing real quick if they want to have a chance of catching up, and so they do. We've got 4001 going up slowly, but the Red Alliance is going up a lot faster, and we've got a 300, oh no, 57-19, couldn't hang on, and they're down. 4001, not quite high enough, and that's the end of the match. And we're gonna have a final official score in just a moment. Okay, final results on the screen is going to be the Red Alliance. 260 to 145. Ladies and gentlemen, a really big hand for Rams Robotics. Where's Waldo and the Cybernauts, your Blue Alliance?
All right, looks like our string of no upsets continues as the number 4 Alliance is able to eliminate the number 5 Alliance with a score of 260 to 145. JT, what did you see in that match?
So we saw a lot of missed climbs at the end of that. The Red Alliance had missed 1 climb with 57-19, and then the Blue Alliance missed 2 climbs. Whenever you miss the climbs like that, it's really hard to be competitive. As we saw in previous events, it was almost like missing the climbs was more like negative 50 points than getting a climb would be like getting 50 points because almost everybody was climbing. And so as we see matches progress, I think you're going to see the alliances with more climbers making it further into the elims. So
yeah,
I think overall we saw the Red Alliance kind of start taking it away in autonomous mode. But if the autonomous mode were tied and if the climbs were tied, we would have seen a tied match. So it was actually still fairly close. But since the blue wasn't able to make those two climbs go, and since the red had autonomous points and also a few fuel points, that's why we saw the red really take it away. So if you look at the replay, the 115 versus 55, a lot of that has to do with autonomous.
Yeah, so it was a really quality match. for the Red Alliance, and it sets up a really, really exciting semifinal match. Our first semifinal match is set. It's going to be the number 1 Alliance versus the number 4 Alliance. But like you just mentioned, JT, the 4 Alliance does have some fuel ability. It looks like they, even though they didn't quite nail at that match, they have pretty consistent climbing. So on the one side of the bracket, that those semifinal matches are going to be really exciting. As we start to look at our next match here, we also have the potential to get a semifinal, one of our semifinals figured out. Again, still no upsets by any Blue Alliance teams, but in this match, the 2 versus 7. It's again that Beaverworks led alliance, which has had to implement a backup bot facing the number 7 alliance of 2935, 2706, and 4519. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out and how the semifinal matches start to shape up. Also, I want to give kudos to the field reset crew here in Ryerson. There's been a lot of fuel spilled in these matches, and they're really, really doing a great job getting it cleaned up and getting everything set up for the subsequent matches.
Yeah, so the last match in this showing, we saw the Red Alliance get 318 and the Blue Alliance get 255. I have a hard time seeing the Blue Alliance overcoming the Red in terms of scoring capability, but I'm curious to see if they're going to try to up the defense this match to make the scores a little bit more even. It seems as though in the first match of this quarterfinal, the Red Alliance took it away with the offensive capability, and so we didn't see much fuel scored, but we did see a lot of gears and a lot of climbing. And the Blue Alliance just had a hard time keeping up. So it looks like they're starting team introductions in Ontario. So let's go ahead and go over there and see what's happening.
Urge Robotics,
2935.
Naki Robotics,
And rounding out our Blue Alliance, 4519.
Kings McCavaliers.
Drivers behind the line. This match starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, here we are. Red Alliance have a little bit of an advantage. Blue Alliance trying to stay alive. Look at that. Red Alliance, they have a gear in place and they also got some fuel in the low boiler. There we go, Blue Alliance now trying to make a difference here. 2706 drops off a gear. And now they're giving 6378 a bit of a hard time. Red Alliance 2609 scurries by. Gears are being delivered. Red Alliance have a second gear in place. Blue Alliance still trying to get that first one up, and there it goes. And it is put in. Blue Alliance trailing, not by much though, because they're catching up quick. They got their second rotor going. They're playing a strong game, which might put them in position for a tiebreaker. 6378, keeping 2706 at bay. 2609, emptying the hoppers so that we've got fuel all over the field. 5024, the Red Alliance trying to get by. 4519's not letting them go. Okay, we've got a bit of a collision here in the neutral zone. 4519 and 6378 at a face-off in the neutral zone. Red Alliance 159 to 95. Blue Alliance 2 rotas turning. Red Alliance 3. 50 seconds left on the clock. Anybody's game, but you got to move fast if you want to get some points. Here's 2609 gobbled up some fuel and they're putting it in the low boiler, bringing their points up a little bit more. That whistle has blown. The ropes have been deployed and the robots get ready for takeoff. Red Alliance 5024 is up. Touchpad is lit. Blue Alliance 4519 is up. 10 seconds. Blue Alliance, they got one up. Red Alliance, 1, 2, 3. Blue Alliance, 1, 2. Not quite the third one. Whoa. And the crowd is getting louder because these teams, these alliances are really putting on a show for us. We're going to have an official score for you in just a moment. And here it is. I think we know it is the Red Alliance. 312 to 195. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Merge Robotics, Naki Robotics, and the Kings, the Cavaliers of the Blue Alliance. What a great show they gave us.
All right, we're back, and again, we've seen the Blue Alliance get eliminated. Number 2 Alliance was able to beat the number 7 Alliance 312 to 195. So we're starting to fill in the other side of our bracket. Another semifinal alliance has been created. What I saw from that last match, and just want to point out, 6378 was a backup bot that was brought in to replace 6052. I don't have any information as to why 6052 was replaced, but it's really a testament to that. To 6378 to be able to come in as a backup bot and have a really consistent climb. I think that's going to be pretty rare in most events. So number 2 Alliance really kind of advantageous to get another team as a backup bot that was able to come in and give them a climb. Some other cool things in that match. JT, what did you see?
Yeah, so we saw a good showing by the Red Alliance with the final score being 312 to 195. What really made the difference was the climbing points as well as autonomous points. We saw the Red Alliance put up 1 gear in autonomous for 60 points instead of 40 points if it were done in teleop. And we also saw the Red Alliance put all 3 robots up for 150 points, and the Blue Alliance only put up 2 robots for 100 points. So I think we just saw what could simply be described as a red scoring dominance in all categories. Red got 3 rotors engaged, including 1 in autonomous. Blue only got 2 rotors engaged, which means they only got 80 points out of it. But since Red got 3, especially with the 1 in autonomous, they got 140 points out of it, I believe. And so the Red Alliance really just took it away in terms of scoring capability. Also, we saw in the end, the Red Alliance tried to put balls into the low goal. They put it in teleop, or in autonomous mode, I'm sorry. And they put 3 kilopascals of pressure in autonomous. And then near the end of the match, whenever they had all 3 rotors with 70 seconds left to go, Red continued to pour more balls into the lower goal. We're not really sure what the strategy is behind that. We could do some speculation. However, maybe the Red Alliance was simply practicing to make sure that they could do it. They could score the balls in the low goal. We're kind of interested in seeing if they'll try to go for a 4th rotor in the future for that additional 100 bonus points, because it looked like they had a pretty solid lead at that point. Justin, what are your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I agree. I think you might be right. They might have just been trying to look at a different strategy. I know in the past, drive teams I've been a part of, if it looks like we're in a comfortable situation with who we're facing, something that we would normally not want to try in a elimination round, we'll try maybe something a little bit different, try to increase our score, try to practice something, get familiar with something we might need later in the tournament, especially if we are, as it appeared the Red Alliance was, pretty comfortable that we were okay to win that match and progress in the tournament. It's also worth mentioning that, like JT mentioned earlier in the show, the gear progression for the rotors gets increasingly difficult. So after you have 3, maybe there's not a super high incentive to push for 4 unless you knew that your opposing alliance could also come at you with a 3 or 4 gear alliance. I think the Red Alliance was pretty comfortable with what they were at with their 3 rotors, and they decided to add some fuel and try some different things before progressing to that next level.
Yeah, what I think is interesting here, the dynamic of defense. It seems like the Ontario event so far hasn't been too defense heavy. There have been some lane blocking, some position defense, but there hasn't been as much hardcore man-on-man defense that we've seen at a lot of other events. So I'm wondering if we're gonna be seeing that more in the semifinals as the competition continues, or maybe if we'll see it in this quarterfinal 4. Speaking of which, it looks as though they're about to start announcing teams for quarterfinal 4 for match 1. We've got team 188, 1241, and 3560 on the Red Alliance, and then 1310, 6009, and 5076 on the Blue Alliance. In the first match here, we saw the Red Alliance take the lead with a score of 305 to 258. And we expect the Red Alliance to continue performing. However, the Blue Alliance might come up from behind. So it's exciting to see how this match is going to play out. Let's go ahead and take it back to Canada while the alliance or the team alliances are finished being announced.
And rounding it out, 50-76.
Stormbots.
Drivers behind the line. We're starting this match in 3, 2,
Check.
1, go.
All right, both teams advance. 188 starts shooting. 3-pointers going in. 1241 putting those up. 188 brings the gear to the base of the airship. Red Alliance gets it in place, but the Blue Alliance does the same thing. So it's a close match here. 5 points separating them. 188 delivers a gear and then heads off. They can pick them up right off the field. They have a little collision with 6009, 1310. Takes a gear over, but they're being harassed by 3560, making it very difficult to get that gear in place. However, 1360 perseveres, and they definitely get it in place. Here's 1241 with a mouthful of fuel. They're loading up the lower boiler for additional points. 3560, keeping 6009 at bay. Right now, it's a 5-point game still. Red Alliance, 2 rotors turning. Blue Alliance, 2 rotors turning. Folks, we're gonna have what's called a photo finish. It's gonna be tight. 1310, trying to get that gear on. They can't. 3560 scared them away. 6009, however, are not afraid to get that gear up on. Red Alliance jumps ahead. And look at those fuel cells going into the high boiler. Blue Alliance seems to be standing still in the middle of the field. 50-76, having some difficulty. 1310 delivers another gear. Smashes into 188. 3560 tries to block them off. 1310 goes around the back. Okay, the whistle has blown. 50 points separating the two. What can we do here? That's one robot hang. Can they make it? Here's 1310 going up. 3560 is up already. 1310, 5076, 6009 going up. 188, not quite. 6009, just a little bit higher. Little bit more. No, they didn't quite make it. Whoa, okay, Red Alliance has a strong lead there, but we'll just get the official score in just a moment. Here it comes. As we suspected, Red Alliance takes that. Blue Alliance, ladies and gentlemen, once again, a really big hand for Runnymede Robotics, Cyberheart, and Stormbots of your Blue Alliance. We're going to clean up the...
All right, our semifinal rounds are set. The number 3 Alliance of 188, 1241, and 3560 with a score of 274 were able to eliminate the number 6 Alliance of 6009, 1310, and 5076 who had a score of 213. A lot of interesting stuff in that match, pressure being scored on both sides. JT, I know the 188, 1241 Alliance was one of the alliances you highlighted in our pre-show. What did you see out of that alliance that might help them in the semifinals?
Yeah, so both of these alliances had a gear up in autonomous, which means that they got 60 points instead of 40 for their first rotor. If you look at the replay right there, it'll show, there we go, 88 to 83 at the end of autonomous. So the alliances were really close. It seems like the Red Alliance's ability to score pressure in autonomous is advantageous because those 13 points at the beginning might help even out or might help give them a little bit of an edge in terms of tie-breaking ability for the scores themselves. However, I was a little bit disappointed in both alliances in terms of climbing. The Blue Alliance actually had a dead robot in the field, and then one other robot wasn't able to climb. And in the Red Alliance, 188 ended up missing their climb. I'm not exactly sure why. It just seemed like the driver couldn't quite get the robot lined up with the rope. I'm a little bit curious to see if that'll improve as the eliminations continue, or if that'll be a problem that might plague them in the future. Justin, did you see anything interesting during that match?
I've just been kind of a little bit surprised at how the entire elimination tournament has played out so far. We've covered a lot of events on First Updates Now Recap. We've looked at the events that have taken place so far. High seed, 1, 2, 3, 4, defeating 5, 6, 7, 8 Alliance hasn't really been a commonality at all throughout events so far this year. There have been upsets. There have been a lot of number 8 alliances upsetting number 1 alliance. So it's really been interesting for me to watch these top 4 alliances really handle quite easily the bottom 4 alliances. It's something that's unique to this event so far. So I'm interested, I don't know if we'll be able to get to it today, but just to look at how this event played out a little bit more in depth and why this event has unfolded that way as opposed to other events in the past. But I am very excited for these semifinal matches. The first semifinal match is going to feature the number 1 alliance versus the number 4 alliance, and the 6'10", 11'14", 55'96", number 1 alliance versus the number 4, 50'36", 13'25", and 57'19" alliance. The 40 kPa auto in the second quarterfinal match by the number 1 alliance was the first time they were able to achieve that. They came very close in their first quarterfinal match. But if it's something that's now a consistent part of their game, and we'll find out here very quickly in semifinal match 1, it's going to be interesting to see how other teams react. We have talked about 1114. They are a hopper-dependent robot. They have no ability to pick up fuel off the ground. So we'll see if other alliances adapt and maybe trigger those hoppers, or at least fight 1114 to get to those hoppers before they can. And if that is the case, and that's a way to keep 1114 short of that 40 kPa auto, how their alliance reacts to that. So winning an elimination tournament is about strategy and adapting to new counter strategy that the opposing alliance throws at you. For me, it's one of the things that makes First Robotics so addicting and so exciting to watch. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. JT, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so I think I've kind of figured out what 1114's strategy is in terms of ball scoring. I was wondering why they didn't put a pickup mechanism on the robot, which means that they can't pick up balls off the ground. And I think what they're going for is to try to get all 40 kilopascals of pressure in autonomous. So if the robot can go over to the hoppers and engage with them and get all the balls into the robot and shoot them into the boiler, you could reasonably get 40 kilopascals in autonomous. So I wonder if 1114 is going to be able to pull that off before the end of the match. And if not, I'm wondering if this alliance that they're playing against is going to be strategic enough to know that they just need to dump out all the other hoppers so 1114 won't be able to score with them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that dynamic will play out during this match. I'm also looking forward to see how the two alliances are going to try to defend the scoring on the other side. It seems as though the Red Alliance would be capable of putting all four rotors into motion and also getting 40 kilopascals of pressure. It seems like they're capable of doing that. I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to try to do that or if they'd rather opt for having the third robot play a more defensive role against the Blue Alliance.
All right, so before we get into these semifinal matches, we did have one question from the Twitch chat. So I think it's Woody 4481 asked, when do you expect 4 rotors during the playoffs to become a lot more common and actually required to win an event? It's a really good question. I think so far 4 rotors, much like 40 kPa auto, has been fairly rare. It really is an interesting dynamic change from last year, where we saw breaches of defenses and capturing of towers become pretty common and required to win the event. We've seen events take place so far where not only have they not been required to win the event, they haven't really happened at all. I don't know, JT, what do you think about that? I think 40 kPa auto or the 40 kPa will become more of a factor before 4 rotors. I know if an alliance can get it, it's certainly a huge advantage, but 3 really seems to be the norm so far. How do you feel about that playing out in the future?
Yeah, I agree that boiler scoring in autonomous is going to start becoming more important as the season continues. However, I don't know if boiler scoring is going to have too much of an impact during the teleoperated period, just because it takes 3 times the balls to get the same score. However, whenever we're talking about 4 rotors, I think that's going to start looking a lot more common in future events. Right now, the way we're seeing it, it seems as if it's almost by luck that an alliance is able to get all 4 in, because an alliance maybe once or twice is going to get all 4 rotors spinning. However, as the season continues, I think we're going to have some alliances that are able to get it going every single match, and those are going to be ones that win events. But as the World Championship comes around, especially in the semis and the final levels, and especially in the Einstein field, I think we're going to start seeing the 4 rotors almost mandatory, which I'm kind of interested in seeing if that'll require third robots to start scoring instead of defending, or maybe a hybrid defense-offense robot to do that sort of thing while another one does boiler and one does more gears. I'm wondering how those alliances are going to actually be able to do that fast enough. So as the season continues, it seems as though alliances that have really nice, smooth play with a lot of chemistry between the teams, and by chemistry I mean simple lane passes. So one robot takes this lane, one robot takes this lane, and then one robot kind of fills in between to not get in the way of the other ones. But I think that the alliances that are able to get that down are going to be the ones that start getting 4 rotors in more common. And it also, there's a defense factor in play. On the regional level, you see a lot more defense versus the offensive alliances, which means that we're probably not going to see as many 4 rotor offenses in regional play as we will at the World Championship level, for instance. I think at the World Championship, we're going to start seeing defense reduce enough that alliances are going to have to outscore each other rather than outdefend each other.
It's a really good point, and I'm really excited to see how the multiple gear autonomous plays into starts to be a factor, especially as we approach the district and world championship level. It seems like right now a good autonomous score is a gear and then 3 robots getting the mobility bonus, which is robots just moving across a line on the field for 5 points. 75 points is a good autonomous score. I don't think at the district championship, and at the world championship, that's going to be quite enough. I know that teams that I've seen some kind of behind the scenes stuff and practices have already started looking at multiple gear autonomouses. And I think once that becomes more the norm, then I think the 4 rotors will start to come into play more. So as we learn about as we begin the semifinal rounds here, want to take a quick look back in on what teams will be competing. So we'll head back to Ontario and check out the field introductions for semifinal match 1.
Team 610.
Crescent Robotics.
And team 1114.
Symbiotics.
Over on the blue side, we start out. It's team 1325.
Inverse Paradox.
In the middle, the Alliance captain, 5036.
Are the mics still hot?
Rounding it out, the pink team, 5719.
The Pink Titan.
Drivers
testing
the
1 2.
We're starting this match in 3, 2, 1, go.
And start we do. Red and blue all advance. 11-14 doing their thing. And this is why they're up close to number 1. Also 610 even sharper shooters from over the base of the airship. Okay, 1325 emptying out the hoppers so that 11-14 can't load up from them. Take away their fuel and hopefully they can't go. 11-14 has a different idea though. They're just gonna go to a different spot and load up. And load up they do. Oh, we have a major collision with 1325. Good thing both of those robots have bumpers on them. 610 trying to get past 5719. 5596 of the Red Alliance staying at the base of the blue airship, hoping to just cause some trouble and keep the Blue Alliance from getting those gears on the lifts. All right, Red Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Blue Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Red Alliance, 152. Blue Alliance, 115. There's 1114 loading up. There's 5596, standing guard. There's 5719, choosing, gonna try and keep 610 out and keep 1114 in. Here's 1325, gobbling up some fuel cells. Looks like they're going to take those over. They're also going to try and get a gear. They do. 610 managed to squeeze out of their imprisonment, work around the back, and deliver a gear to their airship. Right now, we still have 2 rotors on each airship going, and Red Alliance with a lead. 55-96, keeping 15-25, 13-25 at bay. We've got the whistle. The robots are heading towards their airship. They don't want to be left behind when they take off. Pilots deploy the ropes. There's 50-36 up. 55-96 is up. 57-19 going up. 11-14 is up. Red Alliance 1, 2, 3. Blue Alliance going up with 1, 2. 50-36 can't quite make it. Wow, what a high-scoring game. We'll get the official results in a minute, but it looks like the Red Alliance is going to take this first one away. Here it comes. Yes, it's true. Red Alliance. Final score, 344-215. Coming back in just a couple of minutes with semifinal number 2.
All right, another exciting semifinal match or elimination match, our first semifinal match. The number 1 Red Alliance, 6'10", 11-14, 55-96 with 344 is able to beat the number 4 Alliance of 50-36, 13-25, 57-19. They had a score of 215. Still looking for our first upset of the elimination rounds. Not everything for the Red Alliance was perfect that time, but it was certainly enough to win. JT, what did you see out of that match?
39 kilopascals, not 40, 39. Wow, so close. So good job by the Blue Alliance for being proactive and dumping those hoppers as quickly as possible. It actually saved them from being down an additional 21 points. But as it happened, the Blue Alliance missed out on a climb that the Red Alliance got, and also the Blue Alliance wasn't as quick with the rotors as the Red Alliance was. So in the end, the Red Alliance still took it away, even without the kilopascal bonus. So I'm not really sure how the Blue Alliance is going to adjust to that in the future. I don't see a win being easy by the Blue Alliance in this next semifinal match, or in the next semifinal 1, match 2. But I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to try to adjust. They've already tried to slow down 11-14 as much as possible, but it looks like they haven't been playing very much defense against the Alliance, as both alliances have just sort of had what looks to be free range through it. Fortunately, both alliances have done a really good job at keeping their lanes clear. It looks as though there wasn't too much friendly blocking within each alliance, and 11-14 also did a pretty good job at managing to diversify their scoring a little bit and not just try to score the balls that match as well.
Yeah, one thing that's scary if you're on the Blue Alliance or in that going against number 1 in the semifinals or any other alliance at the event actually, is the number 1 alliance put up a really, really good score and they were not perfect. 11-14 had a little bit of a hiccup in their autonomous mode, and even though the Blue Alliance, like you had mentioned, was very proactive in dumping out the hoppers, 20 balls still start the match in the loading zone where teams have been getting gears from. So that's still, with the really successful autonomous that they have, and those 20 balls should be enough to overcome, even if all the hoppers are dumped. The mistake 11-14 made is they were just not quite against the driver or the loading station wall when the human player dumped in those 20 balls, and they end up missing most of them. So if they clean up a couple of those things, not only is it going to be tough for the Blue Alliance in their semifinal match to overcome that, but any team they face in the finals will also have a very tall task.
So it looks like after this next match, semifinal 2, match 1, in the Red Alliance, we have 63-78, 26-09, and 50-24, our number 2 alliance, versus our number 3 alliance, 12-41, 188, and 35-60. Justin, do you have any opinions on what might happen during this match?
I don't know. Both alliances in the quarterfinals show they can put up good scores, and they played really well. I'm really excited to see these matches. I thought the 1 versus 4 may turn out to be a little bit of a lopsided event, which it turned out to be. These matches, however, I'm expecting to be very close, very hard fought, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how, again, these alliances adapt and change to the new opponents that they're asked to face and beat in these elimination rounds.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how this match goes because it seems a lot more even than the previous match did. The number 2 alliance has impressed me in their scoring ability. I wasn't expecting them to be able to score just quite as high as they were. Let's see, we saw in quarterfinal 3 a score of 312 done by the number 2 alliance, and quarterfinal 4 we saw a score of 274 by what is now the blue alliance. So if you go off of those scores, it looks like the red alliance will have a little bit of an edge going in, but let's not make predictions. I don't think we're going to know who's going to win this match until the scores come out in the very end. It's going to be really close, in my opinion.
So I think as they're still working on getting the robots in the field set up for this next match, I think we should take this time to kind of introduce ourselves. We didn't really get a chance to do that at the top of the show. My name is Justin Montoys. I've been involved with FIRST since 2005. I worked with Team 340 for 10 years and then switched over and now work with Team 3015. Both teams are just 5 minutes away from each other in Rochester, New York. I've been a part of the drive team both as I've been in the drive team as a part of as a drive coach for over 5 years. It's something I very much enjoy and look forward to. I actively mentor Team 3015. We're competing this weekend at the Finger Lakes Regional, so we're very excited about that. And I'll give JT an opportunity to introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is John Taylor Novak. I'm from Mountain Home, Arkansas, and I've been with FIRST since about 2001. Starting in all those years, I was with Team 16 and also various First Lego League, First Tech Challenge, Vex Robotics competition teams. I've done the whole thing now, and now I'm on the mentoring side. And so now I'm a college student at MIT, pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering, and looking forward to mentoring FRC teams in the future. And so let's see. So I guess I spent most of my time with Team 16. I was on the drive team back in high school, and now I'm sort of in a bridge area on my life in the FIRST career. I'm not involved with any team in particular at the moment, because I'm just kind of taking a little bit of a break from that for now. And I'm looking forward to mentoring teams in the future, however. And it looks like we're back into introducing our alliances in Canada for this next match. So let's go ahead and take it back to Ryerson.
Team 1241!
Series 6.
The first Canadian team, Team 188.
Blizzard.
Rounding it out, 35-60.
Ching Robotics.
We are just helping Beaverworks connect to the field. We want both teams to be playing at full strength for this semifinals match. So much on the line here. A trip to the finals to then be crowned your Ryerson District champs.
All right, so it looks like we have a little bit of a prolonged field delay. So we were sent 188s. We're by release video, which is really high quality, well produced video, and they're actually up in the semifinal match. So we're going to show that again as we wait for Ryerson.
We, the North. In many ways, we're in a league of our own. One step removed, just beyond the boundaries. Some would say we're on the outside looking in. But from our perspective, we're on the outside looking within. Far from the east side, miles from the west side, nowhere near the south side. We are the north side, a territory all our own. And if that makes us outsiders, we're in.
3, 2, 1, go!
And we're back with the match in Ontario. Sorry about that.
Has begun. Blue Alliance started their shooting. There's 1241 putting the balls, the fuel cells up into the high bowler, dropping a gear on the track. Both teams managed to get a gear in. 6378 spilling the beans. Actually spilling the fuel. All over the field. 3560 and 6378. Face off. 5024 comes to the rescue of their alliance partners. 1241 sneaks around behind the foray. Heads over to the base. 6378 spots them and tries to give them a little bit of trouble. We've got a lot of strategy going in here, trying to keep the other team from scoring as much as they're scoring themselves. Red Alliance 117, Blue Alliance 88. It's getting a little physical out here as the robots realize, and the drivers, that it's do or die. 188 crashes into 6378, trying to get around them. And they do just that and head over to try and fuel up, get themselves a gear and take it back. Blue airship, 2 rotors turning. Red airship, 2 rotors turning. Blue Alliance has taken the lead here. They want to have a little bit of an upset. Again, 1241 putting the fuel cells in the high boiler. Okay, the second last hopper of fuel is on the field. 30 seconds left. Blue Alliance ahead by almost 50 points. This is going to be interesting. 50-24, Red Alliance trying to get a hold of that rope. They got it. Blue Alliance, 188 is up. Oh no! 188 has slipped off. Red Alliance is up. 259. It's 1, 2, 3. Do you believe it, folks? Wow! Oh my goodness, what an upset that was. I hope 188 is okay because I know they want to come back in a minute. All right, we're going to have an official score for you in just a moment. Hang tight. Okay, here it comes. Yes, it was the Red Alliance. 309 to 302. Wow, talk about close. Okay, I can't wait till they meet again because it's anybody's ball game.
All right, we're back, and wow, what a match that was. The number 2 Alliance was able to narrowly eke out a victory over the number 3 Alliance, 309 to 302. Boy, you hate to see a match get decided when the robot takes a tumble like that, but it really made all the difference when he falling off the airship just at the last second. JT, what else did you see in that one?
So as predicted, that match went neck and neck. Everything seemed to go well for both alliances. all the way up until the very end whenever 188 fell off. So if we look at the score breakdown, both alliances got 1 rotor engaged during Autonomous. Both of them got 2 more rotors engaged during Teleop. The Blue Alliance was able to get 29 fuel in the high goal, and 13 kilopascals. Let's see here. Yeah. And then also got a 25-point foul. So that would have given them the lead. However, 188, we noticed at the very end of the match, as they were climbing, fell off, and they didn't get their 50-point bonus for taking off at the end of the match. And that's really what decided it in the end. So the final score, 309 to 302, the Red Alliance.
Yeah, that's a good, it's kind of silly to say, well, if this, and this didn't happen, fuel would have made the difference. But that's literally the case in this match. These matches, these alliances are going to be, I think, as the tournament progresses, the consistency of the alliances will increase. So teams that advance will probably have very similar traits, meaning, an alliance that can score a gear in autonomous and get that bonus has a better chance to advance. Teams that can climb, have 3 robots climbing, has a better chance to advance. And if that is true on both sides, teams will get alliances that end up in the finals will be more and more evenly matched than any other alliance they faced before. And I think that's really where fuel will end up making the difference. And that's why if you're not on that #1 alliance, I think you're a little bit nervous because the fuel output of 1114 and their alliance seems to be very, very high.
Yeah, so we're about to go back into semifinal 1, match 2, with alliance #1 versus alliance #4, I believe. And so we're looking at team 610, 1114, 5596 versus 5036, 5719, and 1325. In semifinal 1, match 1, we looked at a pretty big score difference. The Red Alliance had 344 points. The Blue Alliance had 215. Justin, do you think the Blue Alliance has a chance in this next match going forward?
I really hope to see, like you had mentioned, that their shutdown defense needs to increase. When you have a solid understanding that you're just legitimately outgunned in a match, you have to get creative and look at how else can we be competitive in this match. The #1 alliance has not done a great job with their climbing consistency. There's room for an upset here, but they really have to make sure that they strategize well, they execute well, keep dumping those hoppers, get the #1 alliance out of their comfort zone a little bit, and we'll see what happens in this next match. So for those of you watching, we really enjoy doing coverage like this, and we want to keep bringing you more events and more stuff like this in the future. So you can help us out by liking on Facebook, following us and subscribing on Twitch. All things like that help us, show that we have a really strong following and helps us lobby and try to get more in-depth event coverage and certain things like that as well. So if you like event coverage and all the other things we're doing on the First Updates Now network, you can help us out and kind of pay us back with a like, a subscribe. That would be a huge help for us.
So I think someone mentioned on the Twitch chat that we should discuss sub 1 second climbs. And the reason why is because Team 1114 that we see on the Red Alliance coming up here, they actually have a sub 1 second climb. It takes about 970 milliseconds for them to climb. Let's see. It looks like we have. It looks like we're starting intros in Ontario. So let's see if we should probably flip over back to Ontario as things go. Not quite yet. There's still a referee in the field. It looks like they're talking to a human player. So after this match and the next match, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be showing a reveal video for Team 2609, who is on the #2 alliance. So they'll be playing in the next match, and we can show the reveal video after this match. It looks like they're now announcing teams on the Blue Alliance. So let's switch back over to Ontario Ryerson to see how this match goes.
36.
The Robo Devils.
Rounding it out, 57-19.
The Pig Titans.
Drivers behind the line. This match starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, semifinal #3. 1114 does their turn and they do their thing. 610 shoots from a little further away. Their accuracy is a little off this time. I think they've got the gear delivered, both alliances. All right, now it's a scurry to empty out the hoppers. 11-14 didn't quite make it over there to get some more fuel from the second hopper. So now they're going to be playing the gear game. 50-36 and 6-10. Little bit of a pushing match. 6-10 manages to get themselves in place. Blue Alliance playing a neutral zone game, keeping the Red Alliance at bay. 55-96. Standing guard in the center, deciding who to let through. 11-14 gives them a little bit of a nudge to say bye and head over towards their airship. No, they're heading over towards their boiler, and wow, talk about accuracy. Every single one went in, way to go. 6-10 creeping around the back. Right now, Red Alliance 175, Blue Alliance 275 to 75. Red Alliance, 2 rotors spinning. Blue Alliance now has 2 rotors spinning. Closing the gap is the Blue Alliance. If 57-19, the Pink Titans being bothered by the 55-96 of the Red Alliance won't let them get that gear onto the lift. There's 56-36 racing around the back. 11-14 goes to load up again. 50-36 streaks by, but 6-10 gives them a little bit of a block. 13-25 sets up the pick, and 6-10 sneaks around. All right, there's the whistle. There's a little bit of carnage on the field as the fuel cells are getting squished, and the robots head back to their airships. 11-14 is up already. Don't forget to deploy those ropes. And here they come. 13-25 are trying to get there quick. Red Alliance is way up ahead. Here comes the Blue Alliance trying to make a lift, but there's only 2 seconds left. Wow, what a strong finish for the Red Alliance. We're going to have an official score in just a moment, folks. Here it is the Red Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for our Blue Alliance, Inverse Paradox, Robo Devils, and Pink Titans. What a great show they gave us. Coming up, semifinal number 4.
All right, we have our first team advancing to the finals. The number 1 Alliance is able to eliminate the number 4 Alliance with a score of 315 to 155. One of the first times in the elimination tournament so far, maybe the first time, that we saw an Alliance not get any climbing points, the Blue Alliance. So I think that's a great example of a team trying to do something maybe a little bit different to shut down the high-powered number 1 Alliance. I did notice again, immediately every hopper on the field was dumped to try to prevent 11-14 from getting that fuel bonus. 11-14 was able to utilize the loading station to get the little extra fuel they needed to again achieve that 40-point bonus. So number 1 Alliance looks really strong. JT, what did you see?
I saw a complete blowout done by the Red Alliance to the Blue Alliance. The Red just took it all away. The Blue Alliance especially let themselves down with the takeoff points. They didn't have a single robot climbing. The Red Alliance still missed 1 climb, and so I'm kind of curious about that as things go forward. So they only had 2 climbs. They could have had another 50 points if they had a 3rd climb. They could have had 365 points instead of 315. But the Blue Alliance they didn't have any climbs at all, so the points never got above 200 points. And so if you want to win the matches, you have to get the climbs. With 50 points apiece, the climbs are probably the single most important part of scoring in this game. So congratulations to teams 11-14, 6-10, and 55-96 for making it into the finals. And also congratulations to the Blue Alliance 50-36, 57-19, and 13-25 for making it to the semis.
So looking at this next semifinal match, teams have not done a great job necessarily getting the super high scores that we might expect to see. But the 1241 Alliance in particular, they've been, until that last fall by 188, they've been pretty consistent around the 300 mark. You know, they went 305, 274, and 302. So they're capable of high, consistent scores, but it'll be interesting to see if they're able to first, you know, move on to the finals to face that number one alliance, but also where they can find just a little bit extra. Because right now, none of the alliances that we're seeing have the ability to overcome and beat the 344 score that the number one alliance was able to put up. So it's going to be tough in this match where they're trying to both get to the finals and see where potentially there's a little bit of an opening for them to increase their scores a little bit in preparation to face that number one alliance in the finals.
So unfortunately, it looks like we won't quite have enough time to show the 2609 reveal video between these two matches, but we'll have a timeout before the finals so we can show it afterwards. So in this next match, we have semifinal 2, match 2 coming up. And in this match, we have on the Red Alliance 6378, 2609, and 5024. And on the Blue Alliance, we have 188, 1241, and 3560. So in the previous match, we saw 1241 try to score up into the boiler. It looks like they're not quite as fast as 1114, and therefore they haven't been able to get the 40 kilopascal 20-point bonus so far. And so I'm kind of interested to see if they will be able to get that in the future. But it looks like by the previous match, the Red Alliance has a little bit of an edge in scoring, even though the Red Alliance does have a little bit of an edge in scoring, in my opinion. However, the Blue Alliance could really take it away. We saw in the previous match, if 188 hadn't fallen off the tower, the Blue Alliance would have won. So if there's any match to have a tiebreaker in, I think this semifinal is going to be it. And that's not taking into account the finals yet.
Yeah, another interesting thing to look for this match is we did see 188. Looks like they had a rope snap, and the last match actually looks like the davit that teams used to climb is being looked at right now by the field crew in Ryerson. But 188 did have the fall in their last match. We've seen teams in the past that have taken falls like that not quite be the same. You know, losing some functionality of the robot. So we'll have to take a look and see how 188 is doing after the fall from the airship in that last match.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in 188's climbing ability so far. It seems like they've tried every match, but it just doesn't happen very often. I'm kind of wondering what's going on behind the scenes, why exactly they fell that last time. I can't remember if it seemed like the rope broke or if the robot just fell off, but it looks like 188's got a little bit of work to do between this district event and their next one to try to get that climber to be a little bit more consistent so they can be more reliable during the elimination matches.
Yeah, and one of our users in a Twitch chat had mentioned that in the Massachusetts event, Southeast Massachusetts event in New England, the semifinal alliances are the 3, 4, 7, and 8. So that's, you know, quite a difference from what we're seeing and what we've talked about. This is unique to what we've seen so far in First Steamworks. There have been no upsets at all so far. 1, 2, 3, and 4 all advanced to the semis, and so far the number one alliance has advanced to the finals, with the number 2 alliance having the edge so far in this semifinal series. So yeah, go ahead.
And not just that, Red has won every single match. There hasn't been a single tiebreaker so far. So yes. I'm curious to see if that pattern will continue.
Yeah. JT, what do you think lends itself to that the most? Do you think it's just really good scouting by the top alliances here at Ryerson that have able to, they like to call it death by serpentine, meaning, with our draft, the number 4, 3, 2, and 1 alliances get the last 4 picks in the draft. So really finding those key teams that are a little bit lower in the draft order is so important. So do you think that's really, really good scouting is what's allowed the Ryerson event to unfold this way?
So I think a lot of it so far is the fact that it seems like the alliances themselves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, the captains, are actually ranked by their actual performance and qualifications. A lot of time at events, you'll see sometimes happen that the number 1 seed is a relatively weak team, or the number 2 seed's a relatively weak team. And if the alliance captain is a weak team, that doesn't say something good for the alliance going forward. However, at this event, it seems like the alliance captains have been very competent. They've been competent in what they're doing. And it seems like that's probably the biggest factor in this event and why the Red Alliance has been able to win every single match so far. So it looks like they're starting to announce teams on the field. So pretty soon we'll be taking it back to Canada so you all can see how the match goes. Let's see. It looks like they're just finishing up marking the Red Alliance teams, and they're about to start on the blue. So Justin, do you have any last second thoughts before the match starts?
Just again, I'll kind of rehash the same thing I look for in every elimination match. You know, what changes have been made since the last match, and I'm really interested to see the functionality of 188 after taking the fall off the climber or off the tower. So let's check in with the Ontario event.
Behind the line, we're starting in 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, both alliances advancing forward, breaking the plane.
I know, I
Points. Blue Alliance, 1241. They've got the rotor in place. Red Alliance, same thing. Blue Alliance come out with a bit of a lead. Fuel cells on the field already. 2609 and 1241. A little bit of a battle on the blue launch pad, but 2609 on the red launch pad. 2609 overcomes and gets the gear up to their pilot. Meanwhile, on the blue launch pad, the Blue Alliance has got more rotors going. They now have 2, but so does the Red Alliance. Blue Alliance has a slight lead. Red Alliance, 5024, sneaking around the back. 1241 meets them head on, both of them carrying gears, and they choose to let each other know. 5024 wants to go back. 1241 puts the gear on. And the pilots bring it in. 125, 118 for the Blue Alliance. 188 and 6078 have a little bit of a nose struggle. 6378 wants to keep 188 from scoring. 1241 putting the fuel cells up in the high boiler to make their lead a little bit wider. Neither airship has gotten their third rotor spinning yet because they're really busy pushing each other off. 188 of the Blue Alliance, however, has delivered another gear to the airship, and it's getting close here. Blue Alliance has got their second rotor going, third rotor going, and they've got a little bit of an advantage there, but we're now going to do the hang one more time. And folks, you saw what happened last time. Let's watch it this time. Blue Alliance, 1, 2, not quite 3 yet. Red Alliance, 1, 2, not quite 3 yet. It's going to be close. Red Alliance up. Blue Alliance not quite. 1 second left. Oh! That kept our hearts going right there. And I don't think I've heard it loud as this loud in here. We're going to get that official score in just a moment. But folks, were you entertained or what? Yeah. Here it comes. Red Alliance takes it all. 308 to 272. Okay, folks, a really, really big round of applause for our Blue Alliance Theory 6, Blizzard, and Ching Robotics. We've got our finals coming up.
All right, we're back. First updates now. The finals are set. The number 2 alliance is able to eliminate the number 3 alliance with a score of 308 to 272. A really close match throughout. For most of the match, the fuel difference was the difference in fuel was the difference in the score. We saw the climbing in the end, though, made all the difference. What did you see, JT?
Yeah, so I actually thought Blue was going to win that match. And in the end, it looked like the Red Alliance was able to scrap together their last climb, but the Blue Alliance didn't quite make it up. 35-60 just didn't seem to catch a hold of their rope. So it ended up with the Red Alliance taking the win away. I think it was a really hard-fought match by both alliances. So congratulations, 188, 3560, and 1241 for making it to the semifinals, and a big congratulations to 2609, 5024, and 6378 for making it to the finals. So let's take a good look at Team 2609's reveal video as promised. They've had a good showing as the captain of the number 2 alliance, and we look forward to continue seeing them as they play in the finals to see just how well they take on the 610 and 1114 alliance that's coming up. So let's go ahead and take a look at the reveal video.
Romantic, fell in love with a simple idea, with a little bit of luck and a whole lot of work. I can make every one of these visions real. So we don't care what the people say, we don't care what they wanna do, and we don't care about it anymore. We do what we want. I ain't wasting no more time. It's now or never. I'm about to get mine. It's now or never. I'm about to get mine. It's now or never. I'm about to get mine. It's about that time. We don't care what the people say, and we don't care what they wanna do, and we don't care about it anymore. We do what we want. I ain't wasting no more time. It's now or never. I'm about to get mine. It's now or never. I'm about to get mine. It's now or never.
And I mean, if you want to talk to me, I'll talk to him and tell him, hey,
Yes.
okay, whatever.
Yeah, we'll work hard on it next time. Right now, it's work in progress.
All right, it looks like we have a little bit of a mini award ceremony going on in the field. This is different than what I've seen in the past. I know that a lot of events have eliminated Friday awards and have now moved to Saturday awards, but awards between the semifinals and the finals is certainly a change from what I've seen in the past.
Yeah, so we still have 3 minutes left in our timeout. So if anybody in the Twitch chat has topics that they want us to discuss, feel free to mention them. However, let's take a look and see what these final matches are going to look like. So right now we've got Alliance number 1 with 610, 1114, and 5596 versus Alliance number 2 with 2609, 5024, and 6378. If you're looking at just the raw point values, the number 1 alliance seems to have an edge on the number 2 alliance, with scores of 344 and 315 in the semifinals versus the Blue Alliance's scores of 309 and 308 in the second set of semifinals. And so if you were to predict, I'd probably say the Red Alliance has a little bit of an edge over the Blue. However, it'll all come down to match play. Whichever one of these alliances can keep their areas of the field clear and also keep their alliances going and very smoothly, whichever alliance is able to do that better is probably going to be the one that comes out in the end. Also, climbing is very important. I think all 6 robots are going to need to climb, because if one robot goes down, then it seems like that alliance is going to have to lose the match. It looks like 1114 has a pretty decent advantage in terms of being able to hit that 60-point kilopascal. The 40 kilopascals for a 20 additional points plus the 40 points for the pressure. So for totaling 60 extra points for their alliance. So if they can continue that into the finals, it's going to be hard for the Blue Alliance to make up for it. I'm looking for a Blue Alliance to hit all 4 rotors, and I'm looking for the Red Alliance to continue their previous pattern of hitting the 60 points for balls as well as the rotor points and autonomous. I'm looking for both alliances to hit 1 rotor in autonomous mode, and aside from that, not too much from the Blue Alliance. However, on the Red Alliance, I'm expecting to see quite a bit of pressure going in. So let's go ahead and take a look while we're waiting at the Northeast East District Southeastern Massachusetts event, which is actually pretty close to where I am. It looks like they've got a semifinal 2, match 4 going into play. So let's transition over there and see what's going on.
Blue Alliance has a gear in possession, needs to put it on and get that rotor turning to be able to get those points. It's very close right now. Blue Alliance puts it up. This is all about the climbing now. Red Alliance 1 robot up. Red Alliance 2nd robot up. We've got a broken davit, but it is recording. We have a 3 blue, 3 red. Oh no, Blue Alliance, it comes down off the pin. It is no longer in possession. Blue Alliance will lose that. Red Alliance, we have a broken davit. We will wait for your official result coming up in a moment.
It looks like we've just seen an upset at the Southeastern Massachusetts event. In the semifinals, it looks as though the number 7 alliance just beat out the number 3 alliance in semifinal 2 of 4. So the Red Alliance number 7, that also probably just wow, the Red Alliance knocked out the number 2 alliance, and now they're about to knock out the number 3 alliance if they win another match. So we can see just how common this is at other events compared to this one, that the Blue Alliance is able to take the lead. Right now, we're looking at the lower seeded alliance actually on the red side, so it's kind of an interesting thing in that the Red Alliance winning is actually the underdog winning in this case, because number 7 knocked out number 2 so early. Justin, do you have any thoughts about that match?
Yeah, it's really interesting to me to see. I really liked actually the way the webcast was set up and the end there to show both airships at the same time. That was a pretty cool thing. But yeah, the number 7 alliance upsetting the 2, and it looks like perhaps the 3 as well. I've been a part of those alliances that the 7 or 8 or 6 that upset the 1, 2, or 3. The excitement in the air is very high. I think people deep down have a soft spot in their hearts for the underdog. They like to see that happen. Teams that have already been eliminated or didn't make the elimination rounds tend to get behind those lower seed alliances as well. So I'm sure the energy at the event is very high as their elimination events continue.
With that being said, you know what's tough? Being on the number 1 side of the field and getting knocked out by the 8 1/4. That's it. It's over. You spend all that time and you pick the best team there, and you two are the best 2 teams at the event, and then 2 matches later you're done.
Yep. I mean,
it's a tough loss.
Certainly, and you and I kind of went through that together in 2014 at championship. On the number 2 alliance, getting upset by the number 7 alliance. That was certainly a bummer as well.
Yeah. So it looks like the robots are on the field back in Ontario, and it seems like they're pretty close to ready to start announcing the teams on the field. So pretty soon we're going to go back into Canada to see what's going on there. For now, I guess we've got a little bit of buffer time. So Justin, do you have any exciting things to look forward to this match?
I'm expecting very close matches like you had mentioned. The average score output of the number 1 alliance was 316 points. The average output of the number 2 alliance who they're against is 312 points. So their averages are very consistent, very close. But the advantage the number 2 alliance has is they've been very, very consistent. The variance of their score has only been 10 points from their highest score to their lowest score. The variance of their highest score to the lowest score of the number 1 alliance is 55 points. So a much, much greater variance from the number 1 alliance, where you have a much greater consistency for the number 2 alliance. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this match plays out. I'm very excited again to see 11-14 go after that 40 KPA auto and all that stuff as well. So this is really, really going to be shaping up to be a great finals match.
Yeah, it seems like 11-14's edge in the pressure and also the ability of these alliance to be able to climb are going to be what set the difference in this match. If the blue alliance can take out all 4 rotors, that will be tremendous, and that might be world record breaking score. Who knows? But if the red alliance keeps doing what they're doing, the blue alliance keeps doing what they were doing, it looks like it might be a red alliance victory in my opinion so far.
Absolutely.
So
right.
let's go ahead and go back into Ontario as they start announcing these teams, and just see how these final matches go. So let's take it back to Ontario.
Team comes out on top over 6'10". They meet up again in 2011 at Championship. 6'10" comes out on top over the 11-14 Alliance. 2012, 11-14 comes out on top. 2013 at the regional events, 11-14 comes out on top. They cross paths at Championships. 6'10" comes out on top on their way to winning the World Championship. They met in 2015, the first time these two teams have ever played together. That time, 11-14 seeded first, pick 6'10". A little role reversal today. 6'10" seeding first, picking 11-14, a first for that. We have Team 55-96. They actually paired up with 6'10" at the Greater Toronto East Regional last year, trying to make a run. Unfortunately, couldn't quite make it. Now they're in the finals, looking to do what they couldn't do the last time. Let's meet these teams. We have 55-96.
The Wolverines from Mary Ward Catholic High School in Toronto, Ontario.
We have the Alliance captain, Team 6'10".
Crescent Robotics from Crescent School in Toronto, Ontario.
And we rounded out Hall of Fame Team 11-14.
Symphonics from Governor Simcoe Secondary School in St. Catharines, Ontario.
And on this side, 2 teams were finalists last year. They made it to this point. They are trying to get to the next level. They want to win this event. Paired with them, first ever event, rookie team, trying to make their way all the way to be a champion. Let's meet them, 50-24.
Raider Robotics from HB Beale Secondary School in London, Ontario.
The Alliance captain, number 2 seed, number 2 captain, 2609.
Beaverworks from Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic High School in Guelph, Ontario.
We rounded out with the rookies, 6378.
Lynx from Stephen Lewis High School in Mississauga, Ontario.
And in traditional first fashion of cooperation, we'd like the teams to shake hands before the first match of the finals. Wish each other good luck. You could go, you could start. I'm still gonna talk. These teams, they want to win, but they want their opponents to compete at their highest level. That's what first is all about. Finals match 1 about to get underway. More history will be written today.
Give me reason, take me higher. See the champions take the field now. Unify us, make us feel proud.
We played 78 qualifying matches, a bumpy Saturday, a slightly smoother Sunday. We've made it all the way to the finals. Match 1 is about to get underway. We have the thumbs up. Drivers behind your line. Finals 1 starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
And that is it. We know what's going to happen over here. 11-14 tries to gobble and throw. 6-10 going to be doing the same thing. They delivered a gear, and they are throwing as well. They're going to get those up there. Blue Alliance already has their gear in place, as does the Red Alliance. Now it's just a race. Blue Alliance clearing out the hoppers so that the Red Alliance can't gobble them up. So we have fuel all over the field. Now it's a matter of, can we get those gears in place? Red Alliance has a bit of a lead. Blue Alliance wants to close that gap as quick as possible. Nobody's putting on the brakes here. They're going at full speed as fast as they can. 55.96 at the base of the Blue Alliance airship. Gonna play some defense, keep them away from scoring. Red Alliance sneaking around. Here we go, 11-14, again, going for the high goal. Trying to put it right as high into the boiler as quickly as possible. There's 63.78 of the Blue Alliance. They've got some fuel in the intake where those gears should go. That might slow things down a bit. 50-24 of the Blue Alliance does the brakes in the neutral zone and sneaks around the back. 6-10 giving some pushing and shoving, trying to get over to their loading station, and they manage to squeeze through. 26.09 has got a gear. They put it in place and then they race across. Right now, Red Alliance commanding lead. 235 to 116. 50-24 and 11-14. Pushing each other around in the neutral zone. 55.96. We've got a gear rolling on its edge right across the field. 26.09 have their grips open. All right, the whistle has gone. Now it's time to try and get those ropes which have been deployed. Red Alliance are going up. They've got one up. They've got two. They're going to lower that rope. It fell. The robots hit it, and it didn't come down. And of course, unfortunately, now we have to take a penalty. Oh my! We've got a flag on the play, but the Red Alliance took a strong one there. We're going to have official score in just a moment.
This house party is crazy. My crew is hella wavy. Yo, flip the cup, then say what's up, then slide out with your lady. No ifs or buts about it. My style is technotronic. Got grips and models, so spin the bottle, girl. I'm just getting started. Pump the volume, you feel the bass. Turn me on and let me do my.
Okay, let's have a look. It is the Red Alliance. 3:35 to 2:11. We have a field timeout as both teams get a chance to set up.
Wow, really, really exciting first finals match. The number one alliance, kind of as expected, really showed its power, winning the first match 335 to 211 over the number two alliance. A lot of cool stuff in that match. We're going to break it all down. JT, right off the bat, what did you see that stuck out?
I actually saw the Red Alliance didn't do quite as much as I expected them to. Even though they won the match, they didn't get the third rotor engaged, and they also only had 2 robots climbing. The Blue Alliance also only had 1 robot climbing. So I think that's kind of why we're not seeing these 400 plus scores here like we should be, because the climbs just aren't going up as much as they are at some other events. And so what I'm kind of intrigued by was that 11-14 managed to miss quite a few of their gears, but the Blue Alliance somehow wasn't able to capitalize on that. 11-14 really got slowed down after they got their 40 kilopascals in, which good job by them, by the way, on that. But after they got the 40 kilopascals in, they started to try to get some gears on, but they dropped a gear and they also couldn't get one lined up properly. But it seemed like the Blue Alliance just didn't capitalize on doing that. However, good job by the Blue Alliance on emptying out those boulders as quickly as possible to try to keep 11-14 from having those easily accessible balls. And so Mike Stark just asked a question on the Twitter chat. How far can you go into the field in auto? So should 11-14 program in some more movement after shooting an auto to get to the hopper quicker? So it seems like it would help 11-14 quite a bit to go out into the center of the field a little more. Justin, you're more into the rules than I am on this year's game. How far can you actually make it in an auto?
I actually don't know what the exact rules. I know you can't make contact with another team, but you can go past you can leave the launching pad, I think it's called. But I'm not sure where exactly the rule is with where you can go. But I think it'd be a great thing to look at for them is get a little bit closer to that middle hopper. I've seen teams go, pretty far across the field past the middle hopper without being penalized. So it's definitely a routine that they maybe should add to their autonomous mode. But one thing to keep in mind, from a strategic perspective, I don't think 11-14 is really looking at getting much past the 40 kp auto, for a good reason. So it'd be interesting to look at from a Blue Alliance perspective if all the balls on the field is almost becoming a double-edged sword with having to drive around them and kind of deal with those balls. If 11-14 can get pretty close to the 40 kPa and autonomous, which it looks like they've been able to do, and get just the 20 balls that are pre-staged in the human loading station, it might be an interesting list or an interesting idea to keep maybe not dump all the balls in the field, at least to keep the field hazard from them a little bit less of a factor, because seeing both alliances only get 2 rotors, you got to start to think of, maybe defense certainly was a factor, but what else prevented the gears from being put up? But overall, it was a pretty exciting match and a really high score from the number 1 seed, despite only getting 2 rotors engaged.
So it looks like we've got a video queued up, questions for First Robotics students. It was filmed at last week's Ontario event. So let's go ahead and take a look at that while we're waiting for this timeout to follow through.
All right, here we go. What's heavier, a pound of aluminum or a pound of cotton?
Pound of aluminum. No. Cotton? Sure, why not?
They're both a pound.
Oh my god. Okay, I see why you said 3 questions.
We're here with the legendary Mikey B. Is that your name?
No.
Okay, we're going to ask him some trick questions to see how smart first students really are. First question is, what's heavier, a pound of aluminum or a pound of feathers?
They're both a pound, the same weight, aren't they?
Calvin? Pound of aluminum or a pound of feathers?
They're all the same.
You sure?
Yes.
Almost got it.
Aluminum? Wait, no. Are they the same? I'm going to say they're the same.
They're both a pound.
I don't know.
They're both a pound.
Okay, they're both a pound. So then I agree with that then. They're both a pound.
All right, we're back. We're still looking at field setup in Ontario for the finals match 2, which features again the number 1 versus number 2 alliance, with the number 1 alliance already having a slight edge in the finals round so far. So we haven't seen a single upset. We haven't seen a single tiebreaker. We'll see if the Blue Alliance, as they continue field setup, can find a way to push this event to a third match.
So something that I'm impressed by is that the Blue Alliance, the number 2 seed, has made it this far with a backup robot ever since the very beginning. The first match, they had to switch out their third bot and get a backup robot. So I think it's kind of neat that they are able to make it this far and still compete with a robot they didn't even pick. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, certainly.
So Justin, do you foresee any potential changes in strategy by either the Red or the Blue Alliance?
I think you're going to see by Blue a little bit less of a focus on defense. It clearly did not work out for them very well in the last match. I think they're going to kind of go back a little bit to a strategy of we're going to play our own game. We're gonna get our points, and hopefully we can capitalize on some mistake. I like to really attribute first events to a NASCAR race. It's not about who leads at lap 267. It's about who crosses the finish line. On the last lap. That's important. Every fuel stop, every pit stop has to be good. The driver has to hit their marks in every match. The slightest little mix-up, I like to equate it to, if you're not familiar with NASCAR, you have to go in and change your tires. If you miss a pit stop, you miss a single lug nut on one of those tires, that can cost you the match, or it costs you the race. FRC is the same thing. If a person puts a dead battery in your robot accidentally, that can cost you the event. So I think you're going to see the Blue Alliance focus on just trying to play their game, get their score up, and hope they can capitalize on some mistake by the Red Alliance, because the defense route did not work well for them last time.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to subscribe to Twitch. I'm not very familiar with Twitch. It's a really good streaming platform though. Anyway, it looks like they're doing something kind of funny on the field right now. Anybody want to speculate what they're doing there? It's Well, anyway, it seems like for the Blue Alliance to take this match away, in my opinion, they've probably got to go for all 4 rotors. In the last match, we saw that 50-24 was trying to do some defense. I think if 50-24 and if 50-24 tries to go on the scoring side and all 3 try to score gears and get that 4th rotor up, they've got a pretty solid chance against the Red Alliance. However, until then, it just seems like the Red Alliance just has a big scoring advantage, especially with 1114's ability to score all 40 kilopascals in the very beginning of the match, just right after autonomous. So let's go ahead and go back to Ontario, Canada, as they're doing team announcements, and see what's going on during this match.
Match 50-24.
Raider Robotics.
2609.
Beaverworks.
And finally, 6378.
Lynx.
Drivers behind the line. This match starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Robots in autonomous mode. 1114 out to the hopper. 610 scoring a gear. Gears scored by both alliances. There are auto bonuses there. Robots trying to shoot. Not much shooting going on here. This is going to be a lot closer to our last one. Red takes an early lead. Minute 30 seconds left. The hoppers are being spilled. Watch that 610 robot back and forth down the field. 610 loaded up. Defense being played by the Wolverines. Big hit right there. Watch out for Raider Robotics. One of the biggest scoring machines all weekend long. Close match right now. Raider Robotics trying to score a gear. They do. Rotors are at 2-2. Who's going to get the 3rd rotor first? 1114 blazing down the field. Getting ready to shoot, and the balls are coming out. got rotors, we got gears. 610, moving around, loading up another gear. 2609 Beaverworks coming down the field. These robots are so fast. 3 rotors for the Blue Alliance, 2 rotors for the Red Alliance. Blue holding the lead. 11-14 down the field, the Symbiotics machine bringing the thunder. Crescent Robotics again down the field, and defense being played by Beaverworks. This match is as close as it can get right now. 11-14 now taking defensive posture. Raider Robotics take the defensive posture. Crescent trying to score a gear. 33 seconds left. We're coming in on the touchpad time. The ropes are being deployed. Who's gonna get up? Wolverine's trying to get up. Wolverines are hooked. Symbiotics is trying to get hooked. Crescent is trying to get hooked. Everyone is going for the hook up here. Raider Robotics is up. Symbiotics is up. Wolverines are up. Crescent is going up. Crescent is up. 3 hands on the red side. 2 hands on the blue side. And that is a wrap.
Life's a race, and I'm gonna win. Yes, I'm gonna win. I'll light the fuse, and I'll never lose. And I choose to survive, whatever it takes. Won't pull ahead. I'll keep up the
And the airships go! And the winner is the Red Alliance! 351 to 258. Can we have a round of applause for all 7 teams in the finals here? And our champions, Team 610, 11-14, and 55-96.
Well, as we saw throughout the event, and the same happened in finals match 2, number 1 Alliance was able to win the Ryerson District event with a score of 351 to 258 over the number 2 Alliance. So JT, tournament as a whole, that match, what did you think?
Well, there we have it. Number 1 wins. Everything went to and out for the Red Alliance every single time. It looked like the Blue Alliance could have taken it away, though, if they just had one more gear. If the Blue Alliance just had one more gear on, they could have gotten an additional 140 points and won that match. So it was actually a lot closer than it looks. It looked like it was about a 100-point score difference, but it really was it was just one gear different. So that's something kind of interesting about this game. One gear can matter a huge amount in terms of how much these teams score, and the Blue Alliance was really close to getting that. However, in the reflections on the match scores, it looks like it's about 100 points off. I'm still kind of confused as to how the robots weren't all climbing at the end of the match. It looked like they just have some trouble there getting that ironed out. So let's look forward to seeing how 11-14, 6-10, and 55-96, as well as 26-09, 63-78, and 50-24 continue to improve their robots for future events.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to all the teams that we've covered in the elimination tournament. There were some really, really exciting matches. One advantage I want to talk about, though, that we saw in finals match 2 that Symbiotics has over most other teams in FRC right now is there's a fear of getting outclimbed in the finals. Don't want to get outclimbed. But with the 40 KPA, the 40 points you get from the building that steam pressure, plus in the elimination rounds, the 20-point bonus, that actually can cover a climb by a team by a factor of 10 points actually. So that's certainly an advantage for them. And I don't think that Symbiotics and some of the other teams that we saw were firing on all cylinders. They were certainly better than a lot of other teams I've seen in their first event. But just watching that finals match too, once Symbiotics jammed in their autonomous, I kind of was like, wow, that was the mistake we were just talking about that the Blue Alliance needed. And the Blue Alliance was ahead for most of the match before Red Alliance kind of finally took over at the end. So overall, it was some really exciting matches. We saw some great teams, some fuel being scored, which is awesome. And I'm really excited to see how Steamworks unfolds here at future events.
Yeah, it looked like 11-14 also sort of slowed down near the end of that match there. I noticed they were in the middle of the field kind of stationary for about 10 seconds, and then they went over to climb. So it looked like they weren't trying to go for all 100% scoring. Maybe they were trying to avoid breaking the robot. Who knows? But in the end, they ended up winning. So congratulations to Team 610, 11-14, and 55-96. And also to 2609, 63-78, 50-24, and also 60-52 maybe? The robot that was knocked out, because they get the finalist award as well. Let's see. Yeah, 60-52. So congratulations to them as well for the Kling. Well, not yet Kling Bling. Maybe we'll see
maybe.
Kling Bling
Yeah,
somewhere.
maybe. Another important thing to keep in mind for these teams competing in district events as opposed to regionals, these teams are really aiming to qualify for their district championship, which is based on points. So yes, the number one alliance was certainly victorious in this tournament today, but most of the finalist alliance probably earned enough points to almost guarantee them a qualification as well. So we'll see all these teams again going forward in the Ontario District Championship toward the end of the competition season. All right, so what do you think, JT? Should we start wrapping this up?
Yeah, it seems like everything in Ontario has come to a wrap up. If everyone's still interested in seeing how the awards go on, there will still be webcasts available on one of our sponsors' websites, thebluealliance.com. Just check out GameDay, and then you can see who goes over there. And we're going to start streaming the Central Valley Regional without GameDay live coverage because Justin and I have been on for a few hours, and so we're getting a little bit tired here. So thank you to all of our viewers and also our sponsors. Feel free to follow or subscribe if you'd like to continue looking at content from First Updates Now. So thanks again to our audience and everyone watching. So, and I guess that's it.
Yep, I just want to mention the First Updates Now network is quite broad. We try to bring you a lot of content. One of the things that we're most excited about coming up is on Tuesday. We'll have First Updates Now recap, which will feature the FRC Top 25, which is a community-based voting system, voting the top 25 teams from this competition week. Those polls open to vote tonight, so we encourage you to get those votes in. Join us for First Updates Now. Join us for First Updates Now recap featuring FRC Top 25 on Tuesday the 14th. And as always, we'll be back here next weekend with Game Day Live featuring new events focused on the next week of First Steamworks. So really excited to bring you that coverage. As JT said, help us, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on Twitch, and we'll see you again next weekend on First Game Updates or Game Day Live.
Yeah, so I guess that's about it. Thank you everybody for watching.